Greetings, family. Welcome to Pan-Africanism towards Nationhood, building a global Black business pipeline. And yes, family, you are here with Bomani Tyehimba and Kala Genesis, and we're here on another incredible live stream. And family, tonight we're here to talk about Black townships, history and importance to Pan-Africanism and nation building. And this is the Afrikstan Analysis. So we're here to drop it on you, family, and we're here to keep it strong. And we definitely want you to just connect with whatever you're talking about, because what we're talking about is building that bridge, building that connection that we need to build. So greetings, brother Kala. You're looking sharp tonight, man. How you feeling?
Thank you. Had a productive day today. God's blessing me, man. What can I say?
Yes, it's always a great thing, man. It's always a great thing.
My Liberia project is going according to plan, man. This thing just getting better. Hopefully, when I go there, Liberia, I have an office set up. I got a couple of offers, everything for rental office space for cheap. And incorporated, and got a lot of business people that want to invest and a lot of stuff in Liberia. So we got a whole connection of things we're building on. Your model, man. Get in the office, hire somebody to work there to do your stuff day to day. Contact people. So investors come in, whatever like that, they got stuff set up, man. So I appreciate your leadership in that role. Showing how it's supposed to be done.
Yes, you know it is, brother. We're building a modern day community, modern day operation. And in order for us to just, really just let people practically know what we as a people are doing, we have to show them. It's because the situation is like, it's so many people running their mouth every day. They got like 3, 4, 5 live stream ambulance chasing. Then they call themselves Pan-Africanists and talking about telling people to do this, and without any proper guidance and proper just connection and things like that. So that's why I always want to let people know about the wonderful community that we got going on in Ghana. And letting people know that, this is an opportunity for us to connect, build something together. And before we get really into talking about family, talking about the topic today, before we get back into talking about that history, we're going to show you something modern day and practical. And that is our Black Star Pan-African community. And that's my information right there. And I'm always telling people, when you see documentation like this, read it, look through it, but then also, send an email, make a phone call if you're truly interested in, we'll connect. Yeah. So when we was having that conference call yesterday, we had a nice conference call about our Black Star Pan-African community, and with all of the conference calls that we have, it's recorded, so it is actually the video before this video. So it's just right there on a YouTube channel. It's a video that we did Sunday and uploaded Sunday night, Monday morning. And we just gave great updates on our community, talk about all the things that we have had to overcome. We talk about trials and tribulations. And we literally just had to just overcome a lot of things, because what you're doing is you're doing land development from the ground up. And if you don't have big money up front, you have to come up with a tactical sequence to do it and make it work. But this is basically what we're talking about, Black township. So this is a Pan-African community, but also it's a Black township. And when we build townships, it's in the mindset of building a family, building a community, getting your people to work together, making sure we organize and provide all the things that we need as a people, a community in that township. And so Kala is going to get more into those things, and I'm just going to show you the other side of our brochure. All right, family, and with everything else, all these details are on our website at africafortheafricans.org. So whether it's the Africa tours or the Black Star Pan-African community, we have 100% of the documentation on our website. And then everything is also connected to videos on Facebook and videos on YouTube, and then just photos in general on Facebook and Instagram, and just getting the energy out there. And then we have some of the information also on the Black African Infrastructure Social Network, and then just we have a lot of printout documentation. But this is just to just share information with you. But just like newsletters and things like that, I'm always telling people that you have to click on it, open it up, read it, look through it, process, and think about it. There's only so much we can share or read over. But that's the importance of having documentation for you to review it. And then I'm always telling people, if you're interested in what we're doing, you can compare it. Do the research on what we're doing, and then do the research on what someone else is doing and compare it, because that's the only way you're going to get a true feeling of the movement that we're in. We do straight Black Power Pan-African operation. So that is a community, and like I mentioned, family. This is not the show where we just spend a lot of time talking about our Pan-African community. We do mention it and share information. But one thing we also do is we also have a whole lot of presentations available, especially on YouTube, where it shows you the history of the community and all of the presentation. And the last thing I want to show with you real quick, share with you, is Africa Tour Flyer, which is basically give you the dates of our journeys that we have going on. And naturally, what we have set up is, once you review the information on our website, then we can talk. All tours have full tour overview, full itinerary, visa information of the visa required, preparation documentation, and this other supporting documentation. So you could be clear about traveling to Africa with us, and you can get all the information upfront without you having to just email someone for them to, I can't speak about how other people do their business. That's their business. But what I like to do is have all the presentations, as I mentioned, and they're basically all right here. The social links and the website have all of those things available where you can just process it, look through it, whether it's the Africa tours or it's the land. And the same thing when we load up the BAIO link and we telling people to join a social network or check it out. It's one of those things where in order for us to make this thing work, we need active participants and things like that. And all these journeys that we do to Africa, it's a connection journey. So we have Ghana in December. Excuse me. As a matter of fact, the next journey we have is really Tanzania in 16 days. And so that's basically, we're closed out on that. It's 15 of us. And once we finish with this journey, November 17th to the 28th, then we're getting ready for Ghana, December 24th to January 5th. So those journeys are already organized, set up. We have tickets, we have everything in place, and we're just ready to go on those journeys. So I'm telling everybody, if you're looking to travel to Africa with us and you're looking to just make that connection, we have a whole lot of schedule coming up next year. That's Senegal and the Gambia in March, Ghana again in May, Rwanda July 20th to the 30th, Tanzania November 16th to the 27th, South Africa December 24th to January 4th, and then the last schedule we have is the glorious Liberia March 29th to April 9th, 2024. So these are all throughout the year, family, and this is our connection to connect you to the African continent so we can connect, do business together, and then build these communities, build these townships, build an energy to where we have where we're not just going and wasting our money and investments. We're actually putting things in place to where we have Black ownership and Black power this in Africa and in the Americas and in the diaspora in general. So yes, Kala, hopefully you're feeling excited tonight.
Very much, bro. Very much.
You are ready for it.
Oh yeah.
So there you go, Kala. The topic is right there. It is right there. So what's the first thing on your mind when you see that topic?
Okay, the topic I want to talk about is the fact that the whole idea of Black townships and Black towns and everything came to me years ago. There was a guy that used to be on Blog Talk Radio, right, before YouTube, and Ning, called the mayor of Black Town USA, something like that, right? He was a good brother, right? He wasn't nothing Africanist, but he used the RBG and he talked about building Black towns and everything. And I could probably, if he's still around, I could probably link up to him one day and everything. But he's like, but we got to build our own Black towns and everything. But over the years, I've done my research, right? And I was asking myself, we historically, Black Americans, have always had our own townships, and we basically, in our culture, in our history, in our narrative, have always said we were segregated, right? We lived in Black townships, right? Now, a lot of these Black townships, right, were doing good up until like the 1930s, okay? Now, what happened in the 1930s? Infrastructure came into play, right? Remember something, you're going from the 19th century, right? Black townships were on par with the rest of the world, right? You just had towns, people used outhouses and stuff like that, and there were, thing. But in the 20th century, right, all towns had to get what? Indoor plumbing, electricity hooked up to the grid, culverts, okay, highways and stuff like that were implemented, paved roads, and all these things were coming into play. So what would happen was a lot of the times the black townships did not have the organization to contest whether a highway was going to be built between their township and they had to be bulldozed or marginalized. Like, let me give you an example. St. Augustine, Florida was once a thriving black community. So many towns in America were thriving black community, but once they built highways and these towns became marginalized. St. Augustine, Florida, is a crime capital of America, and why is that happening? Why? Because these towns were economically and deliberately starved out. Okay, to the point where a lot of black people didn't give up the idea of black towns, but you're living in racist states, and the towns basically could not survive because the white power structure did not allow that. For example, and you may have a black town, but the infrastructure, unlike a white town of the same size, would have its own basic essential infrastructure. What do I mean by that? A police department, a fire department, health department, hospital, all these things. So therefore, when people say we're segregated, that means we were put to the side, but we weren't. We had to rely on the white townships for any sort of major supermarket and everything like that. Now, there was a lot of black people who decided, look, we could build all these things in our own area. We wouldn't have to go to the white community. That was the Black Power movement. People don't realize when we talk about the Black Power movement, they will also talk about building black towns in the South where black people were the majority in counties, which we could basically have all the infrastructure, such as like places like Jackson, Mississippi. They're making headways and trying to be a black city. Okay. And sometimes we failed. For the most part, we didn't keep up with it and stuff. But I think the major problem is the fact that there's too many black people who basically give up on this idea of having black towns, and we don't get the best and the brightest minds to live in these areas. Okay, now back in the '70s, there was a congressman named Floyd McKenzie. Okay, he was from North Carolina, but he moved to Queens, and the way he saw it was you have all these black people still moving to the north, right, and moving out of the rural South, which he thought was a better fit for them. And so, what was the reason why he couldn't move to the South? He said, well, black people live in towns, but they have no infrastructure. Okay. So he designed a project that surprisingly got the support of President Richard Nixon. And he designed this thing called Soul City. Okay. Now, Soul City was a planned community in eastern North Carolina. Okay. And if you look at the map of Soul City, they had plans for an industrial park, commercial zone, a downtown area, and stuff like, and housing and schools and university. And he said that was going to be the prototype of black people returning to the South and building their own independent, self-sufficient communities. Now, that Soul City was not only opposed by Jesse Helms, the racist senator from North Carolina, but it was also opposed by people like Andrew Young, who says that was basically going backwards to segregation. Now, here's the thing. The people who were pushing integration, right? They were not pushing integration because they really thought that black people and white people would ever mix together. Okay. They just didn't like the fact that these so-called black towns have become independent. They'll also become socially and economically and politically independent. And they would lose relevance because the people that live there would choose their own leaders, and they could probably send their own state representatives and everything like that. The chosen black leadership class did not like that, So therefore, what we have now is a quagmire, which we've been fighting for the last 60 years of us trying to integrate into America. And these people that so-called lead us is trying to tell us that the best thing we could do is try to mix with white people. For another example, in Birmingham, Alabama, if you really look at Birmingham, there was a white Birmingham and a black Birmingham, right? The black Birmingham is part of white Birmingham, but there's a white part of Birmingham, I forgot the name of the area, who wanted to succeed from the city of Birmingham and form their own city. And the black people are opposed to that. They say, oh, you're going to take away our tax base. But instead of creating the black community as equal to the white, which we could have our own tax base and everything and be independent. We rather deal with stuff like racism, police brutality, and discrimination, right? Because we're tethered to white people. Same thing is going on in Atlanta, which you got Buckhead who wants to secede from Atlanta, right? And black people are opposed to it. So therefore, you ask yourself, what happened to the black town or the black city? It's black people. Okay, it's black people. And I'm going to talk about the historical significance of having black townships and the independence and the culture of independence that basically spawned the black nationalist movement. That also basically the black township culture is what made that's what resonated with Marcus Garvey's movement, resonated with these black towns because they saw that they were doing most of the labor. They're largely independent from white people. They could trade among themselves. One of the things that black people did was we had our own commerce. We had our own supermarkets, and we worked the fields and we sold goods in the market. And you had black people who owned land, and they would rent out land to other black people who put houses and trailers on them and bullet houses. So therefore, there was a sort of independence of black people. Everything, although the areas didn't look or keep up with the white community, because they said, well, we have inferior schools. But then the southern states said, okay, we'll give you money to develop your schools. They didn't want that. The whole thing was we want to integrate with the white schools. Okay, we didn't want segregation. We did not. We said the people who spoke for us said we did not want our townships anymore. We want to be integrated and move into white areas. And so that's what you have right now. Now the whole idea of the black town is coming back, and you see more people. Black people will talk about building black towns again in the South. In Georgia, there's a project of people trying to build their own townships and everything like that again. And we're starting to get a nostalgia for these black townships. Why? Because in those townships, we had what we call a community. We had a sense of belonging, a sense of kinship, a sense of togetherness that we did. Most black people back then, most of those townships, was centered around black churches, and black fraternities and black social clubs and everything. So what you basically had was like a nation within a nation. Okay. Now coming forward, right? Most black people, the Great Migration, we started moving into the inner cities and everything, and we left these towns and everything to die in the South. By the millions of us leaving the South, we left these townships to die. And so now we're coming back to the South for large numbers, and we're looking around saying, well, what happened to this? What happened to that? Now this town's been bought off by whites, Indians, Chinese, and Mexicans, and everybody else. And like that used to be our ball field. That used to be our area we had at school. Why do we have that more? Because we gave it up. We were convinced that living in a black town or trying to build a black town was backwards. We were convinced that these communities were practicing racism, reverse racism. We were convinced that the goal of black people was to basically colorblind America and change America. Now what you have, like I was listening to Tucker Carlson tonight, and this Indian guy was talking about there's a case before the Supreme Court, which basically the Asians are saying and the Indians are saying they're discriminated against with affirmative action. And like I said, I'm tired right now at this stage in our life. So in other words, basically, they're basically saying that it's racism towards whites and everybody else, giving black people race-based thing when they had 400 years of race-based scholarship and everything solely on their race. And so what it basically tells me is America has given up on the idea that the descendants of slaves should have a special right to America, that thing. So I said this all the time, that and they're using immigrants, right? They're saying, oh, I came from this country. I'm like, you came to this country, but your ancestors didn't build this country. Your ancestors didn't suffer from this country. So therefore, the government should basically look at black people and say, black America, and say, look, yeah, we owe you something because all what your ancestors. Now they're basically, because of the anti-black sentiment in America right now through the riots and everything, it was already there, but the whites and everybody else hearts have gotten hardened, and they're basically saying, we don't owe you anything. Look at these immigrants coming over here, succeeding, and everything like that. So we gave up what we had, bases of operation, townships and everything like that, to basically create this colorblind society. And now instead of us being integrated, they choose to bring in people from overseas to fill their color quota. And so now basically black people are at this crossroads. Should we build these towns again and everything and segregate ourselves and separate ourselves and build from ourselves? Or basically, and also an extension of that is we should build towns on the African continent, our own towns on the African continent. So therefore, I say tonight that the people who are talking about building in Africa, if you're not trying to build a community, right, you're wasting your time. Because you say, well, I'm just going to go to a country and just assimilate. Well, look, the Nigerians don't have the same enemies you do. We have enemies that we're still fighting in America and that want to crush us, that want to destroy us. Okay. And the bottom line is no matter where you go and on this earth, if you're not together, if you're not with, your enemies are going to destroy you. There's no escaping from this. They have not finished what they were trying to do, which is a complete vindication of their civilization. They really do believe that their civilization did no wrong in slavery. Okay. And the rest of the world is not going to carry that burden. It's all up to us to carry the legacy of our ancestors on, and that's why we say in Afrikstan, the end game is the answer. And so, therefore, I'm going to talk about tonight how black towns could actually make the Afrikstan and stuff like that a reality. Okay, now when we talk about black towns, right here in Virginia Beach, right, Virginia Beach was really a black city. People don't really realize that. Even though people think it's a middle-class white city, rich white city, and every prosperous, Virginia Beach at its fundamental was a black city, okay? I'm going to talk about the five major parts of Virginia Beach. One, you had an area called New Light, right off Indian River Road. In fact, where CBN University is, where Pat Roberts, that was mostly black land right there. He got that land for dirt cheap, okay, and built his CBN Regent University, okay, CBN University. Okay, right there, where CBN headquarters are. Okay, that's called New Light. That's one part of it. Then you have Blackwater. Okay, that's down there to by the Great Dismal Swamp. Okay, and then you have Oceana. Oceana was also a black community at one time. Okay, and the people there that live in Oceana, that Oceana area, the black people there, they'll say, yeah, we've been here for 300 something years. Okay. And then the largest one is a place called SeaTac. SeaTac is a thriving black community enclave in Virginia Beach, right? And the late Bishop Thurgood is memorialized there, right? And I studied the history of SeaTac. It was a township, and it became incorporated inside the city of Virginia Beach. But it's still, the city of Virginia Beach still recognized SeaTac as a historic African American community. It was once a township settled by escaped slaves and some Native Americans and some African slaves that were marooned. Okay, and they built these communities. SeaTac is right on Bird Neck Road. Okay, and so therefore you got the Atlantis housing project right there that's on SeaTac property too. And so therefore it has a recreation center, it has a community center, and everything. I love going there. When I go there, the people are so friendly. They're so nice. And I say, you guys are my people, and they're just basically, a loving community, around Bishop Thurgood's church and everything like that. I go down there and whatnot. These people just show me so much love. The older people, when you drive through the neighborhoods, they got nice houses and everything. Everybody waves and everything. And I said, man, this is heaven right here. And they got right down Bird Neck Road, they got a park, right? Now, SeaTac is being encroached on by developers and stuff like that, but the core of the neighborhood is still there. The older people are getting older now. I want to see younger people stay there and understand that this is worth having. It's a nice area. Why not leave it? And it's 99% black. So therefore, I say the idea of a black township is important because it gives you a sense of community, a sense of belonging. Okay, a sense of togetherness. And when you have that, you have a vantage point of, okay, this community. You have a real community, not just an online community, not just a figment of an abstract community, right? You have an actual community that people basically say, this is what our community does. Community festivals and community events and stuff like that. That builds that sense of togetherness. And I'm gonna tell you about the historic how that was so important back when we settled in Liberia. When we settled in Liberia, We built communities. We built townships, along the St. Paul River. And when you go to Liberia, you're going to see these townships, all along the St. Paul River. There was townships like New Georgia, townships like Virginia, townships like named Clay Ashland, Brewerville, Carysburg. These are all communities that were self-sufficient. They had their own town hall. But the thing about in Liberia, these townships had their own court, magistrate, their own jail, police department, everything. They had their own mill, which men would farm and sell their crops to the mills for processing and stuff like that. So it was completely independent. And so they didn't really have to depend on the main city of Monrovia. They were completely self-sufficient. And basically they sent their representatives to the Congress for them. So it was everything that we wanted to do in America, but couldn't. Now, the contrast to Black communities in America, where you had to do major business, you had to interact with white people. In Liberia, we had townships and everything, but the place where you may have to go to get government documents was a Black republic that in Monrovia. Okay, and so therefore, what I'm saying is the people, for the most part, lived in their townships, and they spent most of their life in their townships, thriving, building families, building schools, building churches, and building universities and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is tonight is this: the importance of Black townships is a township is a micro of just a small part of what a nation, And I'm gonna talk about what's the perils of a township, what's the good, and what's the perils. And I'm gonna use the white community for a minute, okay? Now, everybody, you like watch all westerns and everything. You may have somebody may say, yeah, let's form a town and everything. We got so many acres of land, come settle and everything. And you say, oh, paradise and everything, but it don't always work out like that. For example, Black people founded a town called Nicodemus in the Kansas Exodus of I think it was the 1880s. Nicodemus, Nebraska, is still a thriving Black community right there, And we built these townships and everything, and we were pretty much self-sufficient. Now, here's the thing: when you build a town, your town's only as safe as the next town. If you build a town, right, and everybody's doing good, right? Let's say the next town is full of marauders, bandits, and killers and murderers, okay? Now your town, let's say there's a robbery, cattle rustling, or somebody do something to property, and they give it sanctuary in the next town. How do you deal with that? So towns sometimes went to war with each other because they weren't coordinating with each other. And so now that's why you have the county system, okay? And so therefore, so no one town dominates. They usually put the seat of power in the smallest town, okay? And so therefore, that town and the magistrate and the government has jurisdiction over all the towns. So if somebody's acting up in a town and the sheriff is not doing his job, they can say you have a bunch of bandits or criminals or gangs in your town. We got to put together a posse to go out there and put this down to establish the rule of law. And so therefore, a town cannot be an oasis, right? The problem with the Black community is at the West was they had to deal with robbers and thieves and stagecoach robbers and everything. The Black townships were constantly being terrorized by night riders and the Ku Klux Klan and all this stuff like this. And we were constantly being threatened because whites would sometimes go into Black towns and shoot Black people at random and come into town saying that somebody had raped a white woman. They come a mob and burn the town to the ground. Remember the town of Rosewood, okay? It was look at Rosewood. You saw the movie Rosewood. Peaceful town and everything. Like, leave us alone. We won't bother. Okay, the whites in the next town, right? The township had no protection. You had no border protecting you from the whites in the surrounding territory, and that's what happened. The whites came there, stole everything. Same thing what happened with Greenwood, Archer, and Pritchard in Tulsa. It was a Black town, right? White people began building around Oklahoma and Tulsa and everything. and a black town became imperiled by the large numbers of whites that were moving in. Okay, so therefore, a town is great, right? But that town has to be or territory that's that protects it, right? And that's why it's important of a nation state. Okay. Now, some people I gave the question of black towns. I said, now what would be the thing that would imperil a black town in 2022? It wouldn't be the Klan. It wouldn't be anything. It would be the criminal element that's in Black America. Okay, we see that with the rise of Chicago gangs coming into Atlanta. Okay, you can't stop people from coming in, and so that puts your town in peril. Okay, and so therefore, like I said, the only way we can build towns in the future is by building them on the African continent, where we have absolute control over who comes in and who comes out. Okay, and so therefore, like I said, I want to give people an idea that in order for us to build, we have to build communities. We have to build townships. That's how we sustain ourselves. And so let's not look at, well, Rosewood was burned in the ground. Okay, because nowadays, if we did rebuild the Rosewood and everything, we could easily control that town, right? Because we would have control over the police, we would have control over the courts, we would have control over everything that goes on there. Okay, that's the problem we had in the past. Black people had towns, but we had no protection. We had no protection. We didn't have a sheriff. We didn't have. Khalid Muhammad talked about one time at one town in the South, right? It was, a black town was real successful because they had a black sheriff and everything like that. And he always talked about the us building our own towns and everything like that with our own sheriff, our own posses and our own everything like that, our own jail and our own banks and our own everything, our own banks where people put their money and stuff like this. So it's always been in Black American culture. If you know African American culture, right? This idea called the promised land. Okay. And if you don't understand the idea of the promised land, you're not really in tune with Black culture. You really do not know Black America. Okay. Black America and everything we talk about is always the promised land. Where's the promised land? Places where we have our own people, where we have peace, we have tranquility, we have serenity. We have all those things. And like Apostle Rogers told me years ago, he said, man, we're just running. We moved to the north, right? We went there for a while, and then that didn't work out. Now we're moving back to the south and everything. So therefore, where's the Black man in America? Where's our resting place? Where's a place that we could sit back and say, this is our Shangri-La. This is our, what's I say? This is our utopia. This is our place thing. This is where we stand. This is where we have our posterity. We don't have that in America because when we go look at our communities or the areas we have it, we don't control the context of our reality. When we had the chance with the Soul City project, can you imagine where we would be right now? And that was in the 1970s. Had we been building those sort of communities, sustainable communities, that were completely independent of the white power structure? Can you imagine where we'd be right now if our youth had opportunities for building and education and stuff like that? Can you imagine where the relationship between Black men and Black women would be right now? And we were building those Black civilizations and everything. No, we gave that up because we were told that to live in a colorblind society, and we had people in the highest level fighting against us. People like Thurgood Marshall. He said he didn't want nothing to do with Black segregation and everything. He thinks America should be integrated and colorblind and everything. He didn't even know the Black people. It was proven that Black people did well when we spent our money together, when we had our own movie theaters, we had our own everything, and we learned to love ourselves, and we love ourselves, and we're part of a community. That brings balance to a group of people. Okay. But when you have a situation where where you're on the margins of somebody else's civilization or society, or you're always constantly looking in, then you fail. For example, most of our Black townships back in the days used to have their own baseball league. We had the Negro leagues. Those places were packed stadiums. We were self-sufficient. We had a thing in the Black towns called in America, across America, called the Green Book. What was the Green Book? The Green Book were black people in our black townships. We own our own hotels and bed and breakfasts, where black people would travel from state to state, and they knew where to stay. You had the Green Book, a directory of black paper places were owned by black people, and we could basically lodge and be among ourselves. We had our own beachfront properties in places like South Carolina and Florida and Sag Harbor, Long Island, and even in places like Detroit. We had our own black everything, Even Martha's Vineyard was one time a black enclave. People don't realize that, where black people gathered for summer vacation and stuff like that. And what's the importance of that? The importance of that is those memories. When you're building among your own people, you realize you are a people. Nowadays, we don't have those things anymore. Okay. When I say black people gathered, I mean black people from the middle class, black people, wealthy black people, and working class and poor black people all gathered together. Why? Because despite your income level, you realize you're a people. A people is not just people who are poor or working. It's also people who are middle class, upper class. You look at any other group of people, you go to Koreatown, it's not just working Koreans, it's not just poor Koreans, it's wealthy Koreans, okay? It's highly educated Koreans, and it's Koreans who basically don't have much education, all living in one society called Koreatown, okay? That's what black townships should be, It should be black people who are wealthy, the leaders, leadership, the highly educated and everything, living among their people and providing guidance and protection for their people, an opportunity for their people, So therefore, getting back to black, because I know not everybody's going to make it to the African continent, but while we are in America, we should practice that sort of idea of rebuilding black towns and black townships and everything, and realize the importance of that we made a historical mistake when we decided to give that up for integration. Integration just meant that we're going to lose our identity just to be with white people. Okay, so with that, remind
you know what? I thought integration was you basically supporting the established people and making their business grow greater, and then your business collapse because now you're not supporting your own movie theaters and your own supermarkets and your own stores and your own investments and your own business operation, technical service, law firms, and you name it. I thought that's what was the situation.
Well, like I said,
people are motivated, like, what? Let me just go support the oppressors, man. So, they could be rich and successful, and we could just have little.
And the bottom line, we're glad to do it. We're glad to do it.
Well, regardless if that was the intention or not, that's surely what happened, brother.
Exactly what happened.
I'm hearing this beautiful state of Georgia, and that one of the most historical parts of America. And yes, the population is about, and people don't quote me, maybe off at some point, but at least about a good 60% us. Like, when you're defining people as far as black, looking like people like me and yourself, that's us right there. So, so it's like you're telling people, like, if we practice group economics to the highest level, or even if we practice group economics on a smallest level, the issue is that we don't practice group economics.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, brother. Here's the thing. You can practice group economics in theory, right? But if you don't have a place to do it, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
Before we had no choice.
Business and investment. So you do have these things, and I'm telling people you have to support black-owned business and establishments, and that's what we're not doing. So when people are complaining about things going on, I'm like, hey, it's kind of like a conversation that I had with one of my community members. I'm always having conversation with community members or friends and so on, and just try to be in the situation where we're having a real conversation. And I was telling them that what if we all, put our money and invest in a project, and then only one or two people actually want to do the work, even though they put money in also. And I asked them, what do you think is going to happen? And I tell them it's a simple thing. It's like either it's going to collapse, or those two people that are working it is going to struggle, and you're going to have limitations, you're going to have issues. But I was telling them, in order for you to just make things effective, you have to have group participation. And we have, because example, you have ran, we're both people who came from black organizations, and we have our own organization and things. And one of the biggest issues that you always have is the lack of respect for black leadership, black organizations, and to actually commit to what you actually gave your word and your energy in, you know. And I'm telling people, this is a world that I've lived in, from the aspects of doing things in America and Africa. And then when you having meetings, conference calls, and doing things, people feel like it's okay not to participate. Now, I'm always telling people in general, no matter whatever amount of meetings people have, no one can attend all meetings and things. You do have some people who are good at that, but at the same time, to like participate in something, show some kind of energy. It's like I'm telling people, the reason why we're in the situation we're in is because we have, you know what I mean? First of all, what I want to make sure it's clear with everybody, there's no other people on the planet that has been divided across all lines. Like you can add up everyone else's situation, and you know, and it's and multiply it times 10, and it still won't touch the surface of the oppressive situation Black people are put in. You're literally put in a situation to where you're, like I tell people, when you're looking at whether it's the religion, the politics, like here, people are, you know, people are divided by these parties here. And you know, I'm in Georgia, and it's like this heated battle going on for Senate and governor. And you know, hopefully that all works out to where whatever works out for the you know, the best interest of, you know, the state, but more important, the best interest of us as a people, because you know, we've suffered so long. But I'm telling people, in order for us to change these things, we have to learn to participate and give support and things like that. And you know, and is if we don't, then don't complain why you don't have a Black airline. Don't complain why you don't have Black people dedicated to want to take you to Africa and want to do business with you and things like that. Because after a while, you scare them away. Like people have asked me, like, how do you continue to do this with all the knives in your back? Now, why would somebody even ask me about knives in their back? Because they see, you know, because you know, I'm no Marcus Garvey, but they see you doing certain things, and it's the same situation as that went to Marcus Garvey. You know, some Black people, no one is gonna agree with 100% of what I'm saying, and I'm not gonna have all a high percent of people who agree with us. What we are is visionaries. So the two things I tell people: support our people when they're doing things progressively, and if you can't, because either you're a hater, you don't want to, or it just is not your energy to give support, then I'm fine with that. But the next thing to do is either you support or you just stay out of our way. It's like I tell people, there's many people I don't agree with and things, and then there's also many people I just don't like and things like that. But ask me, do I get in their way? Do I have problems with that? Maybe some of them I don't like. I would give them their level of aspect of respect because they have dedicated their life to certain things. But my number one thing is, if I have an issue with you and I'm not feeling you, we have problems, my goal is to stay away from you and keep the peace. Because because if I don't agree, I just don't agree. But at the same time, too, you could be doing something progressive in your direction, and just because I don't agree and things like that, then now I want to sabotage you, and now I want to have issues with you. Another thing I'm telling people, that just because someone has an issue with me, don't mean that you need to have an issue with me because that person have an issue with me. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those situations where you're telling people, if you're building a business enterprise, like I mean, we can even work the numbers and say if you have 100 customers, if you have one or two customers that's an issue, you're doing great, because people are gonna be people. If you have 100 people, that's 100 mindsets, 100 personalities, and 100 of people who are entitled to something, or maybe it's a few percentage of them entitled. But you cannot go away, you cannot escape doing business and not having issues with people. It's kind of like saying that you're gonna have a relationship and you and your lady is not gonna have a disagreement and things like that. It's just all about how you handle things. That's how you're telling people, let's handle this better. Just because, just because I'm a example, just because I'm a fake ass bootleg rapper, you know what I'm saying, and I can't put together things good, and then someone else is able to, do their thing and everything, you know, I couldn't go and say, hey, brother, can you assist me or can you help me? No, instead, you know what people do? They're straight throwing shots at folks and putting bad publicity on people, all because I have certain issues. Now, I'm telling people again, we're divided and conquered across all lines and things like that. And as two black men standing here, the biggest situation and concern that I will always have is the level of, and the level of just the black on black violence between me and my brothers, or us as brothers, or black men in general. Now, I'm not saying that white men don't do certain things to each other, Mexicans or Indians or whatever, because they do. In some
it's not like us though.
Maybe worse and things. But one of the things I would always say is that all of these people, they have their nations, and they have they have their high standards to where if you're Indian, music producer, you're not gonna have a group of Indian guys as artists come and say the worst thing about Indians. I don't think they would last too long. They'll find themselves probably somewhere in a ditch. And if you then you reach out to the Chinese and other people, they're not going to let that pass. But somehow we're caught in a situation where the people who invest in our music, invest in our movies, invest in the things that we're about, they have their checkbox of things that has to go on in order for that to be made. And it's like it put us in a situation where you don't have your own voice, you can't control your destiny. And that's what I'm telling folks is like, as men, we need to just provide better leadership and things like that. And it's just things that that people can't control. But it's like every time you turn around, it's just like one of the things you and I was talking about is every time you turn around is some kind of entertainer rapper or somebody whether they're getting jacked or robbed and everything. And
yeah,
it's unfortunate to break my heart because I look at all
check
these.
check this out. 4 people this morning. I'm waking up to 4 people sending me that message of what's his name? Time Take Back. What's his name? That guy killed.
Don't mess the man name up, man. And all the best to his family. Take off.
Take off.
And it's the same thing when you and I was younger. Our two, some of our favorite rappers were Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they were in their mid-20s, and it always break my heart and things like that. And I'm always telling brothers, that just growing up in Jamaica, growing up in Brooklyn, you see that life, and some of us, you're able to, like I tell people, like myself is just lucky. There's been plenty of times that you walk past a store and 30 minutes later, a bunch of bodies on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Or you walk somewhere and things happen, or you're in a club and people start doing crazy stuff. Next thing you know, you're fine, but something else may happen to someone else. And it's just it's just heartbreaking. And it's like trying to get us to this like be on code and be on point to this, do better and just look out for each other, because it's like we all got our children to raise, our sons and our daughters, and we have to make a better world for them, because if we don't do what we need to do, like we talk about building black townships and just taking accountability for our people, we're literally going to be put in a situation where our children, the only thing that they can offer the world is their slave labor, modern day slave labor.
Yeah, selling themselves out to these Jewish record producers.
Well, from working in factories that's owned by the Indians, whether they're working at record labels that's owned by European Jews, or whether they're somewhere else doing something else, and it's that situation where you're trying to encourage us, like when we get money, let's learn to invest that money and invest it in something that's going to grow for us, and let's not just think about ourselves. And like I'm always telling people that if I could hit a button, I'll go back to the world of just being selfish and enjoy my life, because you ask people, how is it going for you? This being there and dedicated to your people, it's going good, but also it's going rough, because it's only so much attacks and sabotage you can take from people. And it's like you're telling people, like, stop with this entitled mindset. The world that we're building in Africa is difficult. So whether you're traveling with us, whether you're investing with us, whether you're even reaching out and things like that, understand that the game is completely different. And I'm telling people, if you want to completely retire, you may want to stay here. But if you even want to retire in Africa, make sure you just get you a nice high-tech community and live in. Don't go do something where it has to be developed. Just go pay the big money and they provide everything for you. And I've had to explain that to people before we start this community. As a matter of fact, another community, we explain to them, because I'm always telling people what we're doing is from the ground up. And the reason why you build it from the ground up is so you can have a level of black ownership and a level of something to where when you build it, you can pass it on to your children, your family, your community, your people, your brother or sister, a young generation who wants to take it to another level. And then by the time you turn around, you have a corporation like Air France, KLM, Delta Airlines, who've been around for 90 to 100 years. And then now your people can get these corporate positions and things like that. And that's what I tell people, when they look at all of these corporate giants, they provide enough employment for the majority of their people, and things like that. And I'm telling them, and it's like, what if they decide one day that they no longer will employ black people, which I think any company can do that, but I think the issue is going to be all the stuff, all the energy that's going to come after them. But then say all those things don't matter anymore, and I'm Coca-Cola, and I say, you know what? No,
Bro, we're getting to that point. Told you about how the Supreme Court's looking over affirmative action. If they Supreme
good
Court.
point. Explain. Yeah, this point.
Yeah, Supreme Court rules that, first of all, black people never benefited from affirmative action. You know what I'm saying? Black men. You know what I'm saying? So what they're doing is basically saying that race can't be in other words, this is how it goes, right? It's not like you're giving somebody that's not qualified to get in a place like Harvard, right? They only got a certain amount of slots to get in, right? Here's the problem. And I'm gonna make some people mad tonight, right? You're gonna be angry. And I think I said I'm gonna teach people to hate, because it's time, it's a season to hate. Okay. You got all these Indians and everybody. We're living in a global world, right? Black people, they asked us, I'm gonna try to stay calm when I'm talking about this. Okay. Right. Black people have been asked to give up Marcus Garvey. We've been asked to give up our black Negro leagues. We've been asked to give up everything we have. We even asked to give up. They're giving up, taking away our black churches. They took away Ebony magazine. Everything that we had built. Our ancestors were not stupid. They were smart. That's why we had all these things: the Green Book, the Negro Leagues, and all this. I was like the North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company. That's why we had black banks at one time. We only banked with our own banks. We had our own insurance companies, everything. We had our own shipping companies. In 1834, we had black-owned shipbuilding companies in Baltimore during slavery. Okay, our ancestors weren't stupid. We knew the fact that we had to build for ourselves. These people don't give a shit about us. Okay. Now, white America came right through Hollywood, through stuff, and basically told us that, well, we got to become together. Now, no other group of people, right? They didn't go to the Chinatown, right, and say, "You Chinese, I know you guys got importing exporting Chinese. Y'all got to come integrate with us and give up your Chinese identity." The Chinese get the hell out of here. So they come to black people, and they get these black people who love white people, who love white. These stupid ADOS FBA types, these clowns, ADOS FBA types,
trolls, man, FBA and ADOS trolls.
And these types that love white people, that love that think they're foundational black America, all kinds of. We always knew we were a minority group in a white hostile country, right? And so how we survived was we kept to ourselves. We married to each other, all those beautiful things we have. You look at go to Facebook, and there's a group called Vintage Black America or Vintage African Americans. There's like dozens of those groups with hundreds of thousands of members. Putting it on those beautiful people say, "Man, we were so beautiful back then. We were so beautiful. Our women were so beautiful. My God, Black America was like heaven." The black women walking down the street in Harlem and whatnot, like, wow. No wonder black people seemed like they were happy so bad. Well, how is it that we were so happy back then, but we're so miserable now? Why? Because they took all those basic things from us. They told us that to be happy is to be white. To be happy is to marry a white woman. To be happy is to marry outside, to have your kids sitting next to a white kid. They did this through a propaganda machine that made it seem like a black family moving into our neighborhood and everything. That was not done for us, right? That was done for them. Okay? White people benefited from all that, right? Because it eased their guilt of how they built their civilization. So how they give back is have a couple of blacks move into our neighborhood. Look at our black family and everything. Look at these black kids playing on the same sport team. All these movies like Remember the Titans and all this kind of stuff like this. All this nostalgia about integration and stuff like this. There was a movie like another one they got with that Taraji Henson chick, where they were basically with the woman that discovered some mathematical thing with the NASA or whatever like that. But notice how something like that, and I'm prophetic, right? They use that to basically have a hint that she had an affair with a white guy and everything, and black people love that, black people love it. Oh yeah, so the whole idea of mixing with white people and everything like that basically undermined the whole idea of the black nation and the black family and black community. Okay, you can't serve two masters. Okay, if you really believe in that right there, that colorblind stuff like that, leave Black America alone. Okay, because black people are realizing now that we made a big mistake. Okay, we realize we made. Now how do we basically go back to that, right? When the community is so in shambles right now, and one of the things that made Black America strong was the fact that when people came to this country, right, when people came to this country, black people came to this country, right? They had a community that they assimilated into. You know, Stokely Carmichael, Sidney Poitier, even Minister Farrakhan, families from the islands, you know, they had a black community. These were our people. Why? Because we acted like a people. When you were black, you assimilated with us, you know, we were in culture. Now what we have is people come to this country, right? They don't move into black townships. They don't move into stable black communities, right? They basically move into the suburbs and they get online TikTok and talk about black America like they're not black, you know, and they're blacker than we are. You know, so this is what I'm talking about. The people basically in Black America, you know, people Black Black America, right, have realized that we gave up something, right? Our sense of self and who we are. Now, on the flip side to that was, you know, the fact that we do have a lot of problems in Black America. Now, back in the 80s, right, and there's a lot of black people who realize, right, although we have these black communities, right, white people were not interested in investing in them. We need to provide jobs for our people. If we want them to stay in our community, we have to provide jobs for them. That's one thing white people still held the key. Now, somebody who broke that was Mayor Maynard Jackson of Atlanta. He basically realized that Ford and all those people weren't going to build the plants to employ his people, right? So he went overseas and got German and Swedish firms, right? He said, look, you know, you come over here. And so therefore he brought jobs in from overseas because they didn't understand about race. All he knew was they would get a labor force and they were going to sell their product in America. And so he reached out to them, okay? We didn't have enough of that, okay? A lot of times black areas, right? If you don't have a tax base, if you don't have people working, if you don't have people paying property taxes and everything for the school board and everything, your town is going to be left to the wind. You're going to give it up. For example, you look at Edenton, Florida. There's a place called Edenton, a black township, right? I was proud, man. There's a proud black town, one of the oldest black towns in Florida, right? Then I did some research, right? 80% of the people are in poverty, okay? The Edenton has to buy its water. It's supplied to them by the county or white town next to it, right? And so even though it has a police department, right, it's severely under the budget. What's keeping it afloat is the money that's comes in from federal vouchers like entitlement vouchers like Section 8, Medicaid, and stuff like that. That's what keeps the place thing because there's no real tax base for the people. Now, people say, well, Kala, well, whose fault is that? You know, these people are incompetent. I really don't know. All I know is I look down there, right, and these people want to do the right thing. They want to say they're proud of their community and everything, Edenton, Florida. And I had a guy that in the BAO, he said he's from there. He doesn't live there. But he said, yeah, we got a black town. And when I found out the realization, I didn't want to bust his bubble and everything like that. And I said, man, the town's really doing bad. But on the surface, that is nice sound, welcome to Edenton and everything like that, right? But the town's not doing really well. Why? Because black people move to areas where there's better jobs and everything. The mother and grandmother may still live there, but the son may went off to the military, never came back. He might have found opportunity. And like I had a lot of relatives in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, who left and never came back. And they started whole new lives in Northern California, you know, and they never came back and stuff like that. So therefore, because we live in racist states like North Carolina and stuff like that, you know, and, you know, there's not really anything for black people. Black people, we had to go to the north. You know, we had to go to the north and everything. Like I said, Floyd McKenzie wanted to bring black people to the south by bringing industries and jobs to the south in these cities. He called Soul City, the Soul City Project, you know. And so it didn't work because it was tacked on two sides. It was tacked by Jesse Helms, who thought that was a threat. Now, if you're a racist white person, this is what I understand about. This is the hypocrisy of white America. The hypocrisy of white America, a jewel from the Kala Genesis. Okay? As I play some music, dun dun dun, jewel from the Kala Genesis. Jesse Helms and all these people were racist. North Carolina has some of those racist white people in America. These people basically are descendants of the people that came and burned Wilmington to the ground. These people are always complaining about black people this, black people that. They hate black people. They hate black people, right? So the black people say, okay, well, you don't want us near you. You don't want us move into your cities and everything. We're going to build our own cities on the coast called Soul City, you know? The same white people said, no, I can't do that. That's racism. That's black radical. So what tells me is anything we do and white people can put their hand and stop it, they're going to do it. So therefore, the people that with this ADOS FBA, you guys are a complete joke. You have nothing. It should be, if the ADOS FBA are so concerned about us building in Africa, right? Why aren't they on this thing saying, yeah, I could make a go of the black towns, but then sit there in the chat room making jokes? You know, they sit there in the chat room making jokes and talking a bunch of nonsense. They have no plan for Black America. I'm giving the people that want to stay in America some ideas, okay? But they don't want to do that. You know what they want to do? They want to live in their white suburb somewhere, and they want to sleep and eat white, and play white and talk black. And because we don't have those communities where we can hold people accountable anymore, people get on social media and think they're fooling somebody. Okay, the ADOS FBA movement is a garbage, it's a joke, because we as black people let all the institutions that if you say you're Black America, all the pillars of Black America, we let them be destroyed. When we let Ebony Magazine go and Essence Magazine go and all these things like this, and we have black colleges are failing and stuff like this, and even to the point where the white people have taken over black funeral homes in the north. There's outside of the south and air south, white people basically own all are burying us. It's one thing that we always had in every black township was our own funeral home, our own undertakers. We did not. Gave the white man our life and our body and life, but when we came to dead, we only traditionally only trusted black people to bury us. But that's even gone now because people realize now that there's a lot of money in insurance payouts with funeral homes. So the funeral home business is one business that Black America is losing. The black townships in America has always been prided on churches, funeral homes, and things like that, you know, and things like bingo halls and everything. Now, white people realize that we play bingo and everything, and they have their own organized corporate bingo thing that we go to. We don't even have that anymore. That social gathering that we used to have. So therefore, what I'm saying is losing the black towns, the sense of Black America. The Black America was born in those towns. Okay, the Black America, the Pan-Africanism was born in those black towns in America. The whole idea that we could be a nation and be a people was born in the black church, was born in those black communities. Okay, the community you despise so much, the community you call the people ignorant and backwards, and you snub your nose at, that you hate. Without those black communities and everything, there will be no modern Africa right now. Those black communities gave the whole black world a template on how to build modern communities and communicate with the modern live in the modern world. So therefore, we have to basically honor the past achievements of our people, what we was able to do in Tulsa, you know, what we was able to do in so many places in America and whatnot that basically shocked the world, how we was able to thrive at one time. While the media was giving out the worst images of us and everything like that, when people came and saw, wow, man, you got black people. That's, you know why? Because the wealthy black people, educated people, didn't turn their back on the average black person. So when you put a bunch of black people together, you've seen those pictures of people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, people walking down the street proud and dignified. Also, the Black Wall Street in the Durham district. Durham was once a black town and everything, you know, and it got merged into Raleigh, Durham area and everything. Those are all black townships, Wilmington, Durham, you know, and all these places like that. Black people were once thriving communities and everything, you know. But the thing is, though, we could not sustain them in the modern world because as they built highways and they basically knew where to build factories, that we had to take our men away from the communities to work in distant places and stuff like this. And then also with the coming of drugs and heroin and crime and stuff like that and guns and everything, you know, we sort of lost our way. But the whole thing is, though, we say that didn't work out, but at the same time, right? Look at the successful models, right? And going in the future. Now, there's some people saying well, we got Prince George's County. Yes, let's keep Prince George's County, right? I'm about whatever we have, let's keep it. I'm not one of those people that will get on here and having no connections with Black America, right? Tell you to get on a boat and go to Africa tomorrow and everything. I'm like, if you guys got a plan, a community that you're building and you're working on everything, I support you. You want to stay in America and do things right and everything you're building, I support you. If you want to form your own community policing and your community neighborhood watch groups, I'll be out there with you. Okay? If you want to basically do something in America, I'm for you. But at the same time, those of us who want to build in Africa, you should give us that same report. We can have it all. So therefore, those of us who want to build in Africa are not threatened by Black people succeeding in America. And most often, there's a lot of Black people who are succeeding in America. And we are part of the Black people who are winning. Real Black America versus Black America X. Okay? The Black America X is a problem. Okay? The real Black America, I can respect the fact that we got nice Black neighborhoods and communities. We got them right here in Virginia. Nice Black communities here and everything. I support that. That's me. That's part of me. At the same time, we have the Black Star Pan-African community in Ghana. We plan to build more of these in Africa. That's part of you too. That's the whole idea of a Black town. Let me tell you something how it works, man. You go to a Black town, you see Black people doing the leg race and whatever like that, and it's like, hey, kinfolk. I may not be related to nobody, but if I'm around my Black people and they're cooking the fish fry and they're basically having good times and everything, I'm right there. I'm your brother. I'm your son. I'm your father. I'm you. Okay? This is the vision we have in Black America, right? I'm not a Pan-Africanist. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm not a Christian. I'm a Muslim and everything. I can go to a Muslim rally and Nation of Islam giving something, I'll go right there and fit right in. If you're my people, you're my people. If you love Black people and realize that your ancestors, as long as you don't deny the Ma'afa, that you're the transatlantic slave trade Holocaust, if that's your identity and we keep that identity sacred and everything, that our ancestors were dragged here and were stolen Africans and everything, then you and I are brothers and sisters. No matter what religion you practice, whatever like that, you and I are brothers. So therefore, if I go to a Black town and everything, you don't have to be a Pan-Africanist to be with Kala Genesis. I'm your brother. I'm your friend. I'm your confidant. So I want to get this notion that if somebody doesn't spew back to Africa and everything like that, that they're the enemy. No, they're not the enemy. These are our people. And it's up to those who are Pan-Africans, right, to show people a living example of how Pan-Africa work. And that's why I got with my brother Bomani Tyehimba. If you listen to this brother, right, and that was the first conference call I was on one of his. This is like I'm in the professional world, but I have never seen someone so professional and so thorough as these group of people that's building the Black Star Pan-African community. You are in good hands with these people. I could say that with a straight face. You look at me in the eye. Do I look like I'm joking? So therefore, when we start talking, when we tell you what to do as far as Africa, you listen to Brother Bomani. Because he's been through the trials and tribulations and everything. And now things are working out to the top of that. And I commend him for his leadership and his professionalism and building this and the dedication. This brother works around the clock. He works hard, to make this happen. So when people get on here talking and misleading people and stuff like that because they got a YouTube following and everything like that, I got to go against you. We want the best for our people, whether they decide to stay in America and fight for what's theirs, right? Or they want to go to Africa and fight for what's theirs. That's what it's all about. It's about us coming together and building towns and building senses of community. Those of you who basically don't think that, I don't have to go live with y'all and everything. These are the people who didn't believe in the towns in the Black America that we had before. They probably never been to a family reunion. They never had been to a large church gathering. They never went to a Nation of Islam rally and stuff like that and seeing your people there. You're there with people that that the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, and you're sitting there and you realize these are your people. Not the people on the 6 o'clock news, not the people, the white people, everything like that, but these are your people. I suggest you go to a rally the next time the Nation of Islam, Minister Farrakhan, has a rally and everything. I guess you go there. I never forget when I went to my first Nation of Islam rally, 1989, at Harriet Tubman High School in Harlem, right? And I'm a young brother and everything. My first time at a rally like that and everything. First time at a Black nationalist rally and everything. I went there, me and my friends. And I remember the Fruit of Islam brother was patting me down. And Dr. Aleem Muhammad was speaking, and Public Enemy was going to be there. And several other people were there. And so therefore, when I went in there, right, I wasn't judged. The Fruit of Islam patted me down and said, brother, I see your face, but I'm doing this for you, your protection, and my protection. And this is love. I said, okay. Okay. And he patted me on the back and said, now go inside. And being in the hands of them brothers, right? And I seen them strong Fruit of Islam brothers, and those brothers in a crowd, those beautiful sisters down there. I said, these are my people. This is what I want to be around. This is what I love. This is what I think, because I got the same thing when I grew up in a Black church and I'm around Black people and everything like that. But these people were talking about nation building, us being a people and a community. I never got that really in the Black church. It was just okay, you're Black, we're in a Black church and everything. Let's die and go to heaven, everything. So when I went to the Nation of Islam rally, I felt like, wow, we can build anything. We're gonna build communities. We can build it. That's what started me on my nationalist trek. I said, look, man, if we got all types of Black people working together, and then I started Dr. Aleem Muhammad speak, right? And this brother is a doctor, right? And he's talking the same language we're talking about, right? He's like, how many of y'all got read Message to a Black Man? Raise your hand, And we're all out there, and all young brothers out there and whatnot, So this man's a doctor, right? And he's one of the national representatives of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And I'm saying to myself, wow. Now, I'm not the same person as I was when I was like 19, whatever, like that. I'm a grown man. I've grown beyond that. I cannot go back to the Nation of Islam. But as a young man, right, that gave me guidance. That basically, reading the final call every week, right there, right, let me know that I have a purpose in my life. Okay, so therefore, I looked at the crime and everything. I didn't want to be part of that. I looked at the Nation of Islam and say, and the Black Power movement, and everything. That's what I want to be part of. That's what I see myself as. I had organization. I had structure. And it was apparent because I was in an auditorium full of people that look like me. These are my brothers and sisters I'm looking at, We are a people. Yes, it's true. We're a people. Why? Because if you don't have that sense of your people and who you're with and everything, you always give your people the benefit of the doubt. If you basically view your people from the prism of the 6 o'clock news, you begin hating your own people. But I know my people are good people. I know my people, when they basically hear the message we're trying to do, they'll support me. I understand that Black people have an affection for America and everything like that. I get that. But I'm saying, hey, look, the same way I can say, hey, look, brother, you want to be, you believe in this and you want to build in America. Hey, I got you. But you look at what we're trying to do. Look at what we're trying to do across the ocean in our ancestral homeland. The same spirit should be reciprocal. And it used to be reciprocal because back in the days, we had Black communities, right? So it wasn't far-fetched for somebody to say, you know something, whatever we're doing right here, we could build on in Africa. Why do you think Garvey movement was so successful? Black people were like, wait a minute here. If I could build the same town here than I can in Africa, and the only thing I'm losing is these white crackers and whatnot, So therefore, majority of Black people supported Garvey. Yeah, we can do this. But what they did so cleverly is to make us hate the whole idea of us living among ourselves. You have one fool up here talking about, I can't live around no Black American. No, you can't escape who you are. You're African American. That's who you are. That's who you have to build your community with. That's who you have to build your nation with. That's who you have to build your township with. That's who you have to build your city with. And somebody said the nation, whatever. I don't care about what Africans think about like that. When we say nation, right, we're talking about a people. It don't necessarily have to be a nation state. It could be territory. We talk about we could be a nation by having 100 or so different townships inside of a particular Black nation state. But we have our own self-sufficient towns, our own industrial zones, our own commercial thing, our own airport, our own stuff like that, the infrastructure. All the stuff we can never do inside of America. Because let me be perfectly honest with you, right? Give you some history lesson. There's a document that was written in the early 1800s called the Monroe Doctrine. Okay, what was the Monroe Doctrine? The Monroe Doctrine, stated by President Monroe at the time, say that any sort of provocation, America basically exerted its hegemony over both North and South America. Any European powers or anything that threatens that any provocation in this region, the United States had the right to intervene. It happened in Panama, where Teddy Roosevelt basically caused a coup in Colombia and caused Panama to secede from Colombia so he could dig the Panama Canal. It happened in Mexico, where right now the fallout from that is why you have these cartels. What do you think these drug cartels that the U.S. and America or Mexico can't control? It came from years of the U.S. intervening in Mexico because Mexico was electing progressive governments and the United States undermined them. So to the point where the Mexican government, central government, is weak. The United States government, basically U.S. companies, are all in Central America exploiting the people. That's why these people are migrating to this country. There's nothing there. By contrast, look at Japan, right? We were taught to hate Japan. But look what Japan did with all its neighbors. Look at America and the poverty, sanctions on a country like Cuba, because Cuba stood up to the United States and there's sanctions on it. And so if America could do that to all these countries in America, what do you think they think about us inside the borders of the United States? They're going to always try to crush us. This is what you stupid ADOS FBA fools don't understand. Long as you live in the sovereignty of the United States, right, where America claims its sovereignty and everything, you are never going to rise. You are never going to build those utopias inside of America, but you can try. I'm not going to say you can't and everything. If you want to do that, hey, I support you. Miracles do happen. But you're never going to rise. Our townships, and you want to build your nation building thing, are best when you're on the African continent, right? And you're protected by African sovereignty. This is what we're talking about tonight. Now, we gave a template. We showed that world what we can do when we built Black Wall Street, in Tulsa. We showed what we can do. We built Wilmington and all stuff like that 100 years ago. We gave the world so many scientists and inventors in America. Despite all the stuff thrown at us, whatnot, we were the only group of Black people with an almanac of success and invention. We're the only group of Black people with an encyclopedia. And we've always been a people that stood for what's right and what's just. Now, I'm saying going forward, right? Going forward, we have to take who we are, the soul of Black America, who we are. We never forget who we are, right? Back home. And we can't be fools and think we're going to erase our history. You are your history. You are your ancestors. Your ancestors have to be avenged. You cannot forget who you are, because something's going to happen that you're going to be reminded. So this is what we're talking about. See, I don't come here with a little tiny little paring knife to little chip it, little apple. I come with a friggin' axe to chop down the tree of ignorance and foolishness and nonsense. That's what God put me on this earth for. We have to do this. We have to do this. When is it going to be our time, right? Where the world is, the fate of the world is in our hands. We see the white world, Western world falling apart. Now it's time to stand on the greatness of our ancestors and what our ancestors stood for, and say we can give the world a new, just world order. But what they did was they take the black man and made us just as corrupt and evil as him. That's why what we have with the music industry is going on. We used to be the moral authority of the world. The world was on our side. The world saying America's oppressing a just people. Now the America succeeded at showing through the imagery the worst possible people the world's ever seen, with the gangs, the crime, and the murder and everything like this. To the point where our African brothers and sisters are starting to despise us. Like Marcus Garvey said, I'm a man and I deserve a man's chance in this world. We have the same intelligence, everything, to make the world great. We produce some of the best minds the world's ever seen. And it should not die in America. We as a people basically have a lot to say to the world. But you tell me that 45 million people don't have any voice, don't even have a national television station, which our views are talked about. We have really no political representation. The black politicians work for the LGBTQ, the immigrants, everybody else like this, and we can't get simple things done. Now these people want to talk about taking affirmative action, which we don't even benefit from. They want to come after us and take that away from us. When is a black man going to stand up and fight? This is a war. And I'm getting tired of some people in the Pan-African world, right, who are going around talking about, oh, the black man in America excuses. What's the white man's excuse? Why is he so racist? Let me give you a little history. Let me give you guys a little history lesson in case you don't know, right? Black people in America have always tried to do the right thing. You got even like cities like Hampton, Virginia, right? Majority black. But white people think it's all right for them to control 99% of all procurement contracts and business and everything. Same thing why you see poverty in Baltimore. White Baltimore owns almost everything. Oh, sure, you got some black people who get some crumbs here and there and everything to keep everything good. Same thing with every city we live in. When it comes down to who has a contract and everything like that, it's basically the white rich people, the white working class, white middle class, all working against us. And so therefore, they're telling us, let's stop, don't ask for too much because it might cause a race war. If it causes a damn race war, then bring it on.
Yes, Kala, before you get too excited, man, I live here in Georgia, a little bit right outside of Atlanta, By the time I drive, sometime I look up, I'm in Atlanta within a few minutes. We had one historical mayor, Maynard Johnson.
I love Jackson.
Mayor
Jackson. I love Maynard Jackson.
Mayor Jackson, which is the airport is named after Hartsfield Jackson Airport, International Airport. So the story and the information, what I heard, just being here over the time frame, is that he created a revolutionary energy and family. I'm talking about Atlanta, Georgia, Mayor Maynard Jackson. which also the international terminal is named after him. So they use his last name on the domestic terminal and his first name on the international terminal, which is beautiful because we have never seen, like it circled Black people to have certain things named after them. I mean, with the exception of Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, and Dr. King, which you have the boulevards and all kind of things. But the main thing I'm trying to get to is that fact that the revolutionary thing he did was he wanted more Black people to be involved in the future of one of the greatest airports in the world, the Atlanta airport. I mean, the place is incredible, and the foundation that he put in, it created an open opportunities for more of us to work at places like even Delta Airlines and so on and things like that. Because when I first came down here, I was talking to brothers in general. I was doing my field research, especially even back in the days, and you're talking to them and you're trying to find out how was things going on, in the city, in the state, 10, 20 years ago. And I'm not saying that, and also people, I'm not saying that I've arrived because, Kala was talking about how some people have having issues with affirmative action. But the thing of affirmative action is that our people had to push to even get some of us to, to gain some of the benefits from something that was supposed to be for us. So that was the perfect example. Maynard Jackson, the Atlanta mayor, literally just working it out. And I don't know how ingeniously worked it out, but you're telling people that if they're going to be contractors, if they're going to build enterprises there, that a certain percentage of those jobs, those careers, those opportunities has to be for Black people. And the same thing, you want to see more of your presidents and governments in Africa do. Like, okay, I do understand that you have to bring the Indians in, the Chinese, the Japanese, because they're some of the most incredible people when it comes to like infrastructure and development. But at the same time, too, can some of my brothers and sisters get certain positions? Can there be a skills transfer program? And I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that whatever we're doing is not enough. And what I'm saying that Maynard Jackson did is historic, and we should push it more in that level of energy. And if we don't do those things, you're telling people that sometimes you have to do those things, because when you have a group of people who have just always been behind, just like when I talk about Africa, I said the Indians been there, the Indians are there, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Lebanese, different Arab groups, they're all there. So people ask me, how did they get there? I was like, well, the British, but also some of their people were international investors. But nevertheless, with a combination of things, they have an upfront by generation ahead of us. Whether Black people in America are thinking about investing in Africa or they think about investing in the Caribbean islands, it's the same thing. 1940s, 1950s, they had a head start. What is it? 2022. I mean, so some of our people really started getting more into Africa. I want to say like in the 70s and the 80s, and I mean even before that. But it's like it started just growing. But so you're telling our people that we are way ahead. We're way behind. Other people are way ahead. So we need to make it to where when you and I are dealing with each other, we deal with each other to give our people an opportunity, and people keep on. And I mean, you're giving qualified Black people opportunities, not just selecting anyone, but you have to create programs to where your people get business. Just like when I tell you about, if you're collecting all the money for Black people for Africa tours investments, I'll feel ashamed of myself as a Black man to turn around and all that money Black people are giving me and investing in me and paying for services for business, and I turn around. I mean, in business, you do what you want to do for certain things, but it's still a shame that you turn around and then every time we go travel, I'm staying at white-owned establishment, whether it's the Marriott or the Hilton. Then when I go eat, I'm taking people to Chinese and Indian restaurant and so on. And then it's like after a while, you tell people, okay, by the time we do all of that, what do our people get? By the time we don't include our people, offer certain opportunity, or tell certain firm if they don't give a certain percentage of our people opportunities, then me as a Black investor is not going to invest in your business. And I mean, it has to be that way. If it's not that way, it's like you just consistently but being put behind. And if some of us don't say, I'm going to build Black enterprises so my children, my family can get opportunities, and that's like a few less Black people who have to depend on the corporation to create create opportunities. Kind of like a sweat, man. I know you're ready to say something, brother. Go ahead, man. Light them up, man. Light them up. I'm me. I spark the fire, and you just boom.
But what you was saying, absolutely correct. Let me give you an example, right? 1988. I don't remember. You were young. Yeah, okay, you were young. How old were you? 10 years
I was
old?
leaving from. I was 11. I was leaving from Kingston, Jamaica, on the way to Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, okay. So you probably don't
Yeah.
remember this, right? Do you remember Tawani? You first got here the Tawani Broad
Kinda
situation.
Brawley. You know, a lot of things happened back in those time frame when I first got here.
Yeah.
I'm
So
telling
you remember?
I remember them.
Yeah, you
That
remember that,
was,
right?
I was Shopton, right?
Yeah, I'll show up the Alton Max on that, right? So let's have a conversation, man. Let's have a conversation, right? All right. Now, here's the thing, right? Black people in New York were battling political bosses, white Democrats and Jewish Democrats and everything like that for a piece of the pie in New York City, right? And we said, "Oh, frick the Democrats," right? The Democrats had Dixiecrats and they got Northern white liberals all united together on one thing: put the black man in his place, give him some crumbs, benign neglect, whatever like that,
Right.
But how you do that? By telling them that we're saving you from the evil Republicans, the evil Republicans, right? Which they were, But the whole thing is, though, they basically had us in a quagmire, right? Republicans are racist. They're against affirmative action, all stuff like this, right? In the 88 election, right? This is like this. Michael Dukakis was running, right? I don't know if you remember a guy named Ron Brown. He was a Commerce Secretary under Bill Clinton. He died in a plane crash mysteriously. This guy was no joke. Yeah, he was no joke, right? So anyway, get this, right? Black businessmen, right, said, okay, we're gonna get you in the White House, right? But we want an aggressive minority set aside and affirmative action program, right? Black specific, basically because most of the affirmative action and the minority side was going to white women at the time. White Republicans injected white women in the affirmative action thing, that white women. So basically, white people doubled their prospects of thing because those white women were going into white towns and white communities. Okay, so including them in affirmative action. Look at any perfect example I'm talking about. Look at the movies and the picture television of the 1960s. Where was a white woman at? In the house as a housewife. And then what's that one movie TV show that came out?
Definitely wasn't a superhero like they are now in all these movies.
Now I'm saying, right? Then Hollywood television changed that TV show Valerie Harper, Harper and all this stuff like this. The women with today's modern women. She's an executive and all stuff like this. That came as a result of the civil rights movement. We were out there getting our heads beaten for, and so therefore, black people, even Jesse Jackson was like, they tried to create this super coalition of white females, right? Gays, LGBTQ, the Hispanics, and all these other people, right? And a rainbow coalition, right? Instead of a black coalition. Okay. Now, they geared us towards not winning, right? But fighting Republicans. For example, Floyd McKenzie was a Democrat, right? But Richard Nixon supported his Soul City project. He said some Republicans said, yeah, that's a good idea, Bill thing. So we became our political vote became hijacked to a Democratic cause, which we didn't think. For example, give me an example. The unions at the time were considered racist. Black people couldn't get union jobs. We couldn't get into joint fitters, some high electricity. We were fighting the unions, and the unions were the Democratic Party base. So we had racism all around. What happened was all these black leaders said, look, we want an aggressive minority set aside and stuff like that for black people. We want union contracts. We want all stuff like that. And Dukakis said, yes, that's a good idea. Why? Because that was 1988, right? Had that happened, right? Black people right now, right, would dominate in certain cities and stuff like that. I remember there was a big thing where a black construction company got a contract in Richmond, Virginia, even though it's a black city council and everything. White people started going to the Ku Klux Klan and all having Klan meetings threatening a civil war and a race war because black people were getting a piece of what they thought that was all theirs. So this is a country that during World War I, right, not only they had the audacity to not only bring us over here to create their initial wealth, right? When they were about to lose that wealth in World War I, right? they took us at a greater percentage, put us on ships, and shipped us to Europe to die to fight for their shit. And now we're saying, okay, we put all this work in America. We died in Vietnam. We died in Korea. We died in these places. Now we want a share of thing. Now they're saying, well, you got to fight for it. They know systematically and systemically, black people are not organized to fight against white people white corporations or white union people who all locked together. So the only thing that could impasse would be the federal government say, you got to give a certain amount of things to black people. They changed that. Say, okay, since the federal government said we'll make it minorities, we'll change it from black empowerment to diversity, inclusion. And who was inclusion? Handicaps, women, everything like this. So black men didn't really benefit from what was supposed to be out, but we got the blame for it. Why? Because a man named David Duke comes along. And he starts stoking all this. Black people are taking from you. They're getting stuff that they don't deserve. They're getting contract with us. Can I say something on the show? No, I better not say it. I don't want you to get you flagged. I don't want you flagged. I don't want to say. I don't want to say.
Put it in perspective.
I don't want to say what I think should have happened to David Duke. If you just get my drift.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
so this guy ran around, right, ginning up hatred against black people who only just wanted a piece of the American dream. You said that we're part. You told us to give up our black nationalists, right? You told us to forget about Stokely Carmichael. You told us to forget about Garvey. You told us to forget about Malcolm X. You told us all this stuff like this. Now we're saying, okay, we gave up all these people. Now we want our share of the American dream. They said, oh, no, what we're going to do is we're going to bring immigrants in. We're going to bring Koreans in. They gave loans to Koreans to set up businesses in black areas. So they've been waging a war against us, right? And the bottom line is you cannot fight for black people until you know who your enemies are and you don't know their strategy. The whole idea is to discredit black America. Black America have a rightful claim to what's theirs in America. And I'm not going to ever tell black people, you don't have a right to fight for what our ancestors fought for. They took more from us than they could ever take back. So if we say that we want this, don't apologize. Like Maynard Jackson, he didn't apologize for what he did. The white people hated him. Because of Maynard Jackson, that's why we had the Atlanta child murders. They were kidnapping black children and murdering them. Because of not black people poverty, not black people in the hood, because they hated black progress. It goes against that whole idea that they're superior race to us. That's why they want to destroy black towns. That's why they destroy black towns. That's why they destroy black infrastructure. That's why they destroy black education. Because when we succeed, it goes against everything that they believe about themselves. So that's what would happen. In the 90s, black people were so terrified of David Duke and the Republicans and everything. Now I'm like this. I look at it now and I'm saying to myself, man, if they wanted a war, we should have gave it to them. We should have gave it to them. And that's what happened in the LA riots. Black people were like, yo, look, and I'm proud of LA riots. Black people say, yo, y'all want war? We'll give it to you. Now they got, after the LA riots, they got control of our music industry. It's no longer fight the power and stuff like that. Now it's kill this nigga, kill that nigga, kill that nigga. That's a deliberate reason why you hear this stuff on the radio in your ears and your soul every day.
You know what? I've heard other people's music, brother, and I've never heard any other rappers say the things that people say and things. And I'm not here to, let me just put my camera on so people can see my face. I'm not here to talk down to any of our brothers and sisters because
I am.
I am. I mean, absolutely, you can definitely share what you have to share, brother, without a doubt. We all come from, most of us are like first or second generation out of like hood. You know what I'm saying? Or poverty and things like that. Now, some of us is for the first time we're going to university.
But these guys are singing devil music, singing Jewish devil music.
Absolutely, but I'm gonna definitely get to that point. I'm saying it's like a setup because it's like the kind of people, the kind of things that get passed, other people are not gonna let it get passed in their culture. Like like I mentioned to you, I've been to Korea and I've been to Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, 4 incredible Asian countries, and I did take note of it, even though it was like 20-something years ago. I did take note of those things, and I did process it my modern day religion. Modern day travels in Africa, and also just from your religion, your culture, anything that you can think of. And what I basically saw, I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be, trying to glorify anybody else. I just saw this, nation of people just progressing to make their people strong, positive, compete, and things like that. As far as derogatory music or derogatory things like online and things like that, it's like those things weren't allowed. Those things weren't pushed. And in some of the countries, if you did certain things, you would disappear. And many things, and things I can't even talk about. But and then I'm not an expert. I'm just telling people that based on this being someone in their 20s, being in the military and traveling to Asian countries, and also being just a business professional and traveling, also you see all these things and you're trying to process them. But what I see is that it's okay to invest in our people so they can invest in their own destruction and maintain their own oppression. But then a nation like China is going to be completely strict with the things that they can go on. Like come on, brother, how much YouTube videos you have out there with a Chinese person talking down about the Chinese Communist Party?
No, you don't.
And calling them dictators or calling them oppressive.
No, it won't happen. You
remember that won't happen. The moment the video be taken down and that person would disappear.
Yo, do you remember the Tiananmen Square Tiananmen Square uprising or crushing? It was an uprising, but
you're talking about a few days ago in Korea?
No, Tiananmen Square, 1989, right?
Tiananmen Square.
Tiananmen Square, yeah. Chinese. I'm not laughing.
That's Tiananmen Square in Chinese. That's their independence area.
Yeah, right.
It's like one of the biggest squares in the entire world, right?
Yeah. They were basically like there was tanks come down there. Everybody, the Chinese are rising for democracy. The Chinese government said no. No, not just yet. Because those were the students that basically now had those Tiananmen students succeeded, right? China would look like America, right? With gangs, OnlyFans, girls doing OnlyFans. That's what they want. They want freedom, but Chinese were not stupid. They said, look, the West, right, has mechanisms, right, to deal with their people. One is racism, right? The West, as long as the West has the black man, right, we have the one group of people that keeps white people in line. You don't want to be like them. Okay, so that's what keeps white people in order, right? Because white people are the real niggas, really is the truth, right? These people, white people are the most vile. If you've been around white biker gangs like I have, man, these people are the worst.
I mean, the reality of it is the things that everyone else don't get marketed as as them. Do. So you're telling people like it's a straight setup. It's what it is. But it's like I'm not saying that we should just give up and just go quit. It just means that we have to be more on code. We have to organize ourselves more and compete more, and then literally just put our energy together. And like I tell you, family, we just need to have black ownership, straight nation building. But the brother Talib is on. Greetings, my brother. Welcome to the call.
Yes, peace and blessings and keep up the lessons, my brothers. Yeah, I appreciate you letting me speak again, Bomani and Kala. Thank you for hitting it and right on point like usual. It's been a little while, I've been in traveling and stuff. I also just real quick, I wanted to let you guys know because the last time I was on, I was speaking about the organization called Freedom Nation of Georgia, and then they also connected in Kazakhstan. And I sent something to the website. I can't remember which one it was. Your website. I posted it email. So I don't know if you got it, Bomani or whatever. Just look for it, and it's a post or link to the website, so y'all can link up with those brothers over there, inshallah. But anyway,
I meant to confirm that I received it. Yes, so I did get that message from you. You went to the website and you sent a message on the contact us.
Yeah. So just say that real quick. But I wanted to touch base because you broke into my upbringing as well. Dealing with the situations that are going on in the industry, the music industry, entertainment industry, with our peoples. And the likes of like who's on the top of, the controversy and media, Kanye West, hopefully things work out for him. He's struggling, and the people, have his back and support him, because at the end of the day, even though he was kind of like misguided by the industry to some extent, but a lot of them are coming up, as we've learned, and myself being from the Bronx, bringing from where the origin of hip hop culture and all that had came out, and then in Brooklyn and the rest of New York City and so forth, different DJs and all that. I was coming up in that time. I'm 52, so in the 70s I was coming up as it was coming up. So we learned the stages that he went through, and when it came into the industry and how people were getting hustled then, and let alone just the record industry period. Music industry was hustling everybody, but of course our people got hustled more, of course, because of our position. You know what I'm saying? So as far as inclusion, that was not even on the table for us. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you want to get in, you want to get signed, then do this, and and sell yourself. So that thing has just kept going. And so now, because of the times of the value systems that we have been, eaten away, and the morals here in this country eaten away, so people don't have no value in life. Of course, it was going to come and be passed down to us, because they want us to continue to be destructive, self-destructive, and dying, and not being able to rise up and hold ourselves as a people. So, it just was going into the system continuously of that music industry. And, you have Kanye West, you have Jay-Z, even before, well, we know where he's at. Damon Dash broke away, but, he still struggles. He can't do but so much. Some of these top guys that are billionaires that have positions where they can take us as a people further, much further than where we at, if they weren't so tied in the matrix. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, it's something that as you speak on that, but it's like we're tied in. So as long as we're tied into that system and we don't break away from it, it's going to continue. You know what I'm saying? We're going to continue to see the casualties of those men falling out in the street and getting blasted out, their brains out of their head. Like we recently heard, I don't know if y'all heard about Migos, one of the rap guys in that group. He was killed.
Yes, I heard of it. We were going to get into it, but
yeah,
if you can just open up conversations, and share this, share something, this, I guess, positive, because I'm just trying to get us as brothers to just like talk positive with each other, and just let us know that, because, let us know that.
I got
family that we need to raise, and we need to change the dynamics of how Black men are looked at. Because people like myself and Kala, we're all about Black male empowerment, and just like so I got my sister and some other sisters, and they're all about Black female empowerment. And I tell both groups of us, like, we need this, like, let's do this, family. Like, we get I'm not saying this, and I also, before you go, I'm not here to feed into the situation, like, that we're the worst set of people, because I realize that everything is based on the marketing aspect, and other people out there have their issues and trash and dirt, and and it's kind of like on a lay low. It's kind of like if a brother or somebody else get arrested for the same thing, and they got their connections, that person just walk out, and you like look at like the worst person ever. So I'm telling people, like, I do understand those things and everything, but at the same time too, I'm saying that it doesn't matter, because they're gonna, people are not gonna look at any of those things. You know what I mean? They're just gonna look at just the end result. So, where's the brothers, man, family? Let's keep it strong, man, and let's just make sure that we just look out for each other in this like dialogue. And what I mean, I'm just seeing too much of us just like every minute someone have an issue with someone else. It's like, like, yo, if, people are gonna have disagreements, let's talk, work things out, let's have fun, have a good time, and let's make sure that what we're doing, our children see that we're trying to be progressive and compete. But yeah, go ahead, brother.
Right. Yeah, that's my point. That my intentions is not to down press or talk down about our people. That's not my intention. My intention is to make a reality check, because when we say look in the mirror, meaning to see the defects first, so then you can fix. Women, they go in the mirror and they want to fix their makeup and fix themselves and look good. They check their defects, the defects. They want to know the wrongs that they do, that they have on their face, or the issues that they have with whatever their look is. So they want to fix it and change it. So that's my position. That's my intentions, is that to know the things, we're not going to get any better until we change our condition. You understand what I'm saying? So that's my point. It ain't like some people just keep going out there and just talking down on our people, and then like kind of causing dissension. No, that's not my intention. So, but I appreciate you clarifying it. That's the type of platform you have here, and all shout outs to you for that you continue to bring that on and be progressive mind. But to take a look at, okay, you see what's going on, so this is what we have to stop. This is what we have to speak against, and we have to put a stop to that. And how we put a stop to that is that we start working on building, like you said, doing things that are more positive, doing things that are more progressive for our people. You know what I'm saying? And if we see a type of system that's not that we're a part of, that's not working for us, then maybe we need to dislocate ourselves. Maybe we need to dissolve that relationship and start dissolving contracts and start dissolving and do your own thing. Do something that's going to be building a positive, a positive progressive way. And that's all what I'm trying to say. I'm just showing the defects so that we know, okay, now these are the defects that we keep seeing. So now we have to see what we're going to do from here to make these defects not reappear, not to make that acne pimple show again. You know what I'm saying? And that you have to bust it, that it spread. You know what I mean? Just let's change the condition. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate you, brother. Absolutely, a positive energy. And you were earlier. You were gonna explain to us what happened earlier when you heard about. And then I guess I was hoping that you compared to other news that you hear, because what you end up hearing about is this, talented young black men at times in their mid-20s, early 20s, like the two historical, Tupac.
Oh, wait, like with Tanya?
BIG. No, as far as just, because I tell people, like, it's what it is. We're all young. I mean, Kala, remember Kala, we both lived in Virginia Beach. I mean, I'm not saying to tell our stories, but you're young in your 20s. And
I was out there. Yeah, I was out there
having a good time, and any of us, anything could have happened. I tell people that all the time, and people like
myself. I was in many situations.
And you're not doing anything bad. You're just having a good time, and that's all it takes. Just having a good time, and then stupidity. I mean, like I'm always telling my folks, you hang around, people start drinking and smoking. Next thing they start fighting and things like that, man. And it's
Here's what I say about this, right? That's natural. People are going to fight and stupid stuff like this. But right now, we have a situation where we have social media, right? People back in the days, right? You didn't have to flash a lot of cash to get respect. I knew dudes work a blue collar job when we went out, we got girls, whatever like that. A normal life. Black men used to have normal lives. You didn't have to have a lot of money to get women. You didn't have to have to get the respect of your peers. All you do is get your rims. If you got a car, it's a few years old. You spent the afternoon in the car wash polishing that shit up and put some sounds in there and stuff like that, right? Now things have changed, right? Yeah. Now we have social media, right, where people feel invalidated unless you are basically looking like you balling out of control, or if you don't have all this money, you're a lame. Now here's the thing. Now the white man, the Jewish man, and all those people. I'm gonna tell you a little history story. Maybe about time we validate this, right? I remember interview with that Biggie Smalls did with Puff Daddy, right? And Puff Daddy said, "I got the perfect person," right? Because Biggie was like, "Yo, man, I'll do anything. I'll do whatever." So basically, Puff said, "Okay, I'll give you this." He said he got $200,000 advance. He said, "I gave him crack. I want this." So money became the god, right? Same thing happened in the West Coast rap. You went from being nobody to being rich, right? And who is the master of that? White Jewish corporations. Okay, your white Jewish corporations. So therefore, and along comes a radio station called Hot 97, right? The normal vetting process of black people back in those days was we had mixtapes, you had good MC writers, because all my friends in hip hop. Matter of fact, you listen, if you have TuneIn on your app, on your car, tune in to go to TuneIn and type in Gangsta Boy Radio. I do my shows on Wednesday nights on there, and we have hip hop music, R&B. It's the largest online urban music and hip hop music in the world, right? We broadcast in 130 countries, right? And my friend, our childhood friend, has a show called Show Brother and everything. He is from the Bronx, you know, he grew up in the Bronx. And so he has a show called Show Brother, and they do from 4 o'clock Eastern time and everything like that. So basically, what I'm saying is we do hip hop, everything like that. Largest online radio platform for black music, okay, in the world. So anyway, my point I'm trying to make is this: back in those days, right? Corporations decided, you know something, right? And it wasn't until they figured that this music could sell to middle America, white middle America. They said, you know something, we need to make a lot of money, right? At the same time, we want to control the culture. Some white people were getting bothered by rappers like Rakim spitting out, or Big Daddy Kane spitting out, KRS-One, spitting out and stuff like that, you know? Because they're talking about that black man, black Asiatic, or not, brothers like King Son, Lakim Shabazz back in the days, all that.
Black righteous teachers.
Poor righteous teachers, you know.
Yeah, poor righteous teachers,
and they were getting really of this because white kids were listening to this stuff, right? And I said, well, what care about white people? White people. Why? Because those white kids, like, they were sending messages, right? That the bullshit that they're hearing from their parents and everything ain't always true. We're not all trying to get rape white women. We're not all trying to take your job, you know, everything like that. These people got their own style, their own way of life, their own everything and everything, and that was tapping into a world which they had no knowledge of. Okay,
right.
And they were getting fascinated by that, right? They were. I mean, let me tell you something. Even though I'm from Queens, right? The Bronx, right there in the early '80s, right there. That hip hop energy. You watch movies like Wild Style, is still unmatched anywhere in the world. Those DJs, the turntables, the breakdancing, all that shit like that is unmatched anywhere in the world. Anybody who felt that energy of early hip hop and everything, and like the DJ is the most powerful thing on the planet. DJ is powerful than the scientist. He can make you amped up and everything. You know, he get the MC who guides the crowd and everything. That energy of hip hop, right? The turntables, the mics, the mixing, and all stuff like that was unmatched anywhere in the world. That's why they had to take it. Now you got white boys who have DJs. They know how to mix and everything. And
the Beastie
all
Boys.
over the world.
The Beastie Boys was a curveball. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But even the Beastie Boys, you know, that's like, okay. Yeah. But the whole thing I'm trying to say is this, though, right? Then they realized by hip hop, I said, like, I did a radio show, said hip hop, right? 1979 to 1990, RIP. Because after the 80s, right? And the 90s, right? They started saying, corporate America saying, you know something, boys, come inside. Let's talk, right? Now I ain't talking about the Rick Rumors and Russell Simmons. That's small time. You know, Profile Records. That's small time. They said, you know something, we're gonna basically give you upfront money. We're gonna get you on MTV. We're gonna get you on VH1. We're gonna distribute your music to you. A lot of early hip hop albums were distributed out of people's back of people's cars, mixtapes and stuff like that. You know, if you got on the radio, that was a plus. And then what happened was they said, you know something, right? We looked on the West Coast, right? What was selling the most? Gangster rap, you know, NWA, gangster rap, right? At the same time, right? The West Coast rappers, they love New York hip hop. I couldn't know because when you listen to them, they say, "Easy, yeah, we like Run DMC, we like KRS-One, we like that, we love that, right?" But the people they said this, right? The Jerry Hellers, right? That founded NWA, that Jewish guy, they said we want a different type of music, right? To a different type of audience. So NWA was really marketed towards white middle America. You know, they said they don't want that 5% stuff that the New York rappers were talking, right? They wanted gangsterism. So they escalated a lot of beefs that wasn't even really there. It was there, but it wasn't really there. You had Crips, but yeah, it was okay. Some things happened, why not? but they basically escalated the violence and glorified it to white America. And they look at the record sales of Death Row Records, it was way past anything else. So what happened was the East Coast, they said, you know something, we got to freaking catch up with these people. And this is where the controversy came in. Most of the rappers in the East Coast, and also I said like this, I did a show. Go to Kala Nation on Spotify. I did a show about KRS-One. I said KRS-One was he had to go. So therefore, KRS-One was always talking about consciousness, my philosophy, and everything like that. And J. Rooted Damage and all these
Public
other people,
Enemy.
And Public Enemy, all those people had to go. So what they did was they got Bad Boy Records in there and everything. And then what happened was in 1987, after Biggie died, right? KRS-One did a song called "Step Into My World," right, on his next album. I Got Next album. And then he was basically taking complete shots at Diddy. He goes, "Stop making your money on marketing scene, singing pretty packages, selling dreams to the fiend." He said, "A dope MC is a dope MC. With or without record, they all can see." He goes, I'm not saying I'm number one. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm lying. I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I said, oh, KRS is hitting back. Okay, yo, let's see what goes. Yo, 2 months later, right? Diddy invited him to dinner, right? And then he made a song with Diddy, dissing what he was saying the first time.
Yeah.
Yo, I was like, yo, KRS, I said, it's over, man. And then Chuck D was saying something about Diddy. A couple weeks later, Diddy doing the song. He goes, I want to bring somebody out, Chuck D. And Chuck D comes out there doing this jig dance. I said, damn, this damn Diddy is invincible. He got Chuck D doing the jig dance or not. And so I'm saying to myself, so that's what it was. It was all about crystal, money, materialism, all stuff like this. And all the rappers that had skills, they went away, because even to this day, right? Rap left the streets, right? You look at Boogie Down Productions, right? What do you see in the background? Graffiti art, and stuff like that. Hip hop, Now you got to be in the Parker Meridian, milked out Diablos, ran a Rolex watch, all the stuff like this. And that's how they attacked our culture. And it's still like that to this day. Now it's to the extreme with these younger rappers. They're starting out with these streaming stuff like that. And they got millions of dollars and everything. And they got millions and millions of dollars. And they're on mainstream. It's not even, you don't even have to be on the urban radio anymore. You just go right straight to the mainstream. And now the mainstream is dictating what Black culture is, because that's what's the most sales is what the culture. And the Black people is like I said, the same way we gave up our Black towns, we gave up Black radio and stuff like that. I was talking to my brother the other day about the Afram Fest we used to have in Norfolk, right? They used to have one in Baltimore.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, chase out. Remember Afram? He says Baltimore.
Absolutely, brother.
He said Afram was big in Baltimore. I said no.
Big in Norfolk. I lived out there for 2 years.
Afram,
yeah.
And you know what, Afram? You didn't see no hip hop. You know what you heard is Afram? You heard
reggae music and things like that. I remember Buju Banton was there performing.
So all this stuff. Then Afram died. The last time I was on Waterside was 2007. I was there, right? And
wow.
Up there. And then it stayed on for 3 more years in Hampton. It was garbage, man. It was like, went to Hampton, it was garbage. Nobody showed up. And then it just died, right? It said all the unpaid bills and everything, because a bunch of fights broke out in 2006, And he said, you ain't having no more. We're not violent. Why? Because they brought in Clear Channel, Radio 1, and they started bringing in these rap acts. I remember that stupid girl, Brooke Valentine. Remember she had a song out called Girl Fight? Remember that? And all these people out there, and she got done, nobody even applauded.
Yeah, but Kala, it goes to show you that as what we're talking about building and building industry and building all these things you spoke about that we lack as on a majority of us as people, is because the reasons of the results of what they're going through, what like these rappers that kind of like, I'm not going to say sold out, but they just, like you said, KRS-One and then PE and all, they fell to what they could not do because they were becoming bankrupt. So, you know what I mean? Because the system was burning, was canceling out. I mean, the cancel culture was back then. It wasn't just now on the scene with what Dave Chappelle and Kanye West is talking about. That stuff was happening then, especially for us,
I love it. They cancel most Def. They cancel a lot of people. You know, Talib Kweli. You know, you can't. You know, we don't. You have no use for you. You know, if you can't be like the baby out there with a diaper on and shit. You know, come on. You know, and walk around stage with a diaper. Come on, the baby.
Did he really wear a diaper on stage?
The nigga you had a diaper on in his act called the baby.
And so and his name is called the baby.
The baby, yeah. He made good music, but he's a clown, man. You know, he had a diaper. That's his act, man. He had a diaper.
I mean, I grew up in the era where it was, you know, where it's like, you know, Nas, Wu-Tang Clan, you know, Biggie, yeah. Jay-Z. You know, it was like a different era of lyrics. Now you just got any little jingle and any little foolish little act, and you know, it's like we're losing our essence as a people.
Yeah, and that I mean,
at one point, you know, we talked about the energy of Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, where's our modern day 21st century Renaissance? I mean, what is it? I mean, is it entertainment, like athletic, music?
But my head's a problem, right?
It's business and industry and agriculture. I mean, what we seeing was going on in emerging the emerging markets in Africa, man, and all the people are talking about it that are not African. You know what I'm saying? They flocking there, but we're missing out. You know what I mean?
Right. And here's another
that's
thing.
What it is.
That's another point, brothers. Is this that I was watching this thing today, right? Where on TikTok, and they were basically saying, they was asking certain basketball players and everything. He said, "Look, you know, we have a lot." They was shouting out all the black businessmen who are not into sports and everything. They said, "Look, we're not just all the world sees is rappers and basketball players. Well, we got so many black people who are good businessmen, and that should be the face of black success." You know, because you know you would think there was no Stephen Hightower of the Hightower Industries out of Akron, Ohio. You know, successful black businessmen and everything. The media only shows you LeBron, you know, Kanye and Jay-Z and everything like that, but they don't show you all the black business. They want that. And I have nothing against LeBron, all these people at this, right? But look at the white people's culture, right? Do you think the most successful white people who speaks for them politically are entertainers and sports stars? No. You know, they got business people, they got educators, people that got money and everything, old money and everything, new money and everything, speaking for them. You know, Grant Cardone and stuff like that. And they got people like that, and they got Warren Buffett, they got the Donald Trumps, they got all these other people, Mark Cuban. They got all these people that speak for them, right? Like it's balanced out. Black people in the Black America, only thing they're going to do is put rappers in, and then what will show you what happened with Kanye. We see now that how all these people are walking away from Kanye, even 50 Cent supposed to be so tough, right? Because they don't want to get canceled. They're terrified, you know? They're terrified. They're like, man, they're walking away like Charlamagne the God. They're trying their best to throw Kanye, show white people that they condemn Kanye, even though a lot of them even said a lot of stuff that he said back in the days, you know? And so
that's what.
Let me add something real there. The reality of it is, all those people, they literally have partnership with the people that he's talking about in some way. And it's like,
correct.
That's the we have in this society. Is like, you know, and that's why, you know, Kala, we all saw about the Afrikstan, where we actually have 100% ownership of everything going on in our own towns or city. And
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. And that's the backbone. You know, we have to build a new backbone.
That's if you know what they say about paying the piper.
Yep.
I would love to be like, look at the Japanese. Everything that comes through Japanese media is controlled by the Japanese. You know, everything. Right. You know, they're protected. Other people protect their audience because they control the media and the films and everything like that. Everything is scrutinized that goes before the public. Black America is like a fact that we even this sane is amazing.
Yeah.
The psychological warfare they put on us all the time. Wonder we haven't lost our minds. We don't know who we are.
Some of us have, unfortunately. Yeah. But you know, that's it's just a realization all the time. You know, we have to build the backbone. We have to build the foundation that we can fall back on. And even like with Whoopi, what happened with her, the show that she was on, and then she had to go and apologize because she was afraid of losing her career.
Right, right. I forgot about that. She said something about Jews. She said the truth. Jews don't suffer as much as black people because I'm black. Visit. How dare you?
I mean, brother, I'm being real with you. It's like 100% of what people say is almost true. You can almost just give it an automatic 90%. But it's sad that they have to apologize, and I do understand the situation. But it's like you have a monopoly on suffering and everything. It's like we as a people been through, hell of a cost, and I mean, and it's like
we don't care. They don't care about
our Holocaust and our struggle. The same people complain about, be sensitive to our issues, about their issues. But then again, it's like, it's like who's promoting the most destruction in our culture based on, based on the things you hear on the radio, the TV, and so on, and online, who own all these outlets. So it's like, it's kind of sad, man. I mean, honestly, it's kind of sad, and that's why I tell people I'm not gonna take it personal. It hurt, but it's like that's why I want us to double up more and like build our Afrikstan and build our world that we control 100%. Because if you're gonna play in people game, it's just kind of like living in someone's state or city, or someone's raggedy ass town in America somewhere. One of these towns,
or the best example is,
and you run into them, you got to deal with whatever their laws is and stuff like that, right? Even though it's and things. So that's the unfortunate. So that's why I say, what we're talking about is on point. We just need more for our people to like get off our backs and support us, because it's like people are having an issue with us when everybody else is doing the same thing. It sounded like my son. It sounded like my son earlier. He's telling me, well, I got into something, but everybody else is doing it. Kind of some situation like you hear children say. I mean, not saying my son, but this children in general.
Yeah.
But but go ahead, brother. I know you got some good stuff to share with this one, man.
Yeah. Like I said, brother, it's the whole thing is, like I said early in the show, right? I laid out, like, because black people get defensive. Oh, are you telling me I have no right to? No, I want you to fight for America, but understand there are limits, right? I explained how the black townships thrived in Liberia, right? The people don't even realize this, that the first organized black community in South Africa was African Americans. We built the first in Johannesburg, Durban. We built communities over there, and the Pan-Africanism Congress and ANC was founded by African Americans that lived over there, People don't realize that history. We have a long history of building, and we realize that, and this is the sad part about it is, right? The most capable group of black people to build a nation and build states and build entities independent are black people from America and the West, right? Look at the townships we have in the Caribbean. We're doing like that. But the thing is, though, they have more confidence in people in South Sudan, 99% illiterate, to have a country and be recognized. But black people in America building it out, oh, you can't do that and everything. So what we're trying to say is this, though. Those of you who want to say America is my land and everything, okay, I support you. You want to build, Brother Tyler talked about people that want to build communities in America. I support that. I support 100%. I want you to succeed. But at the same time, right, how do we basically have now what could happen, right? What could happen, right? If you want to stay in America, right? We would have to basically really go for our own television stations and everything, our own programming. Which basically, imagine if you have like the Bounce TV. I'm going to have a Bounce TV. That was a good idea. Bounce TV, it disappeared off my thing. Remember that? Black movies, shows, everything. Make sure people. We're too far involved in America. There's no distinction. If we really had this like we were supposed to have, all these people wouldn't even be considered black anymore. Diddy, all these people. You can't serve two masters, right? When we used to have black award shows and black like that, it was basically because 90% of your audience was black. 90% of the concert ticket was black. You talked about black issues, black things, and issues. So you related to us, Let me give you an example. Remember Robert Townsend, right? With his partners in crime and everything. That was black, Remember Showtime of the Apollo? That was black, All these things that we used to have that made sure that we knew that we were a people, we're a people, are gone. And so therefore, if we start getting back to that, we had our own television shows and stuff like that where people aren't trying to look for the meal ticket out. Usually right now, black people who get into entertainment, we're just a stepping stone until they get that call from the white person say, hey, I got a job for you at Fox News. I got a job for you at MSNBC. Oh, Lord. Why do you think Roland Martin's only sticking around for us until he gets that call. You know, they're going to invite him a Roland. We've seen what you're doing for the Democrats. You know, now he's threatening black people. If you don't got the vote, I bet Roland's his big ass. I'm going to kick your ass. You know, Roland, you ain't going to do nothing, man. Shut your ass down, you know? And so basically, he's doing all that. Why? Because he wants that phone call. He wants that phone call from CNN. He wants that phone call from MSNBC. And then he'll be talking the same old left-wing politics and everything. Right now, he's black, black, until he gets that phone call. When do we have a situation where somebody could blow up, right, and not sell out? We don't have that no more. We used to have that. We used to have our own radio stations, you know, and stuff like that back in the days, where people talk to a black audience, you know. Now people talk about they talk as Democrats, they talk as leftists, as Marxists, and everything. You know, that's all the Barack Obama effect. You're a black man, but you're not really black. You know, the Trevor Noahs and all these other people like this who appeal to a multiracial cast, non-whites, and everything. We lost that. We have to get back to being black. As simple as that. You know, unapologetically black. You know, black is. And like I said, those of us, you guys both went to Afram. Can you guys share some of your memories about Afram, what you loved about Afram so much?
Yes, absolutely. Let me just go and share that experience immediately. Yes, brother Kala, I'm trying to remember back in my naval days. That was 2006 to 2000. Yeah, and one. So I want to say that to be like sorry, 1990. I'm older than I think. 1996 to 1999 up into 2000. I was there. And my last years in Virginia Beach is 2001. So yes, family, yes, I'm that old. But
I'm older.
Now, what I remember is Buju Banton. I remember this, the beautiful African culture. And this is all before I even knew what I knew now, because you know, but it was like, you know, even though I didn't think about like Africa and anything, it was just like great energy of just, and it was like a whole lot of black folks. And you know, I was like in my 20s, so you know what we do in our 20s. You out there,
you're checking out the girls,
you get numbers, and you just set up dates. I'm sitting on family. I'm in my mid 40s, but I'm just telling you what we did when we was in our 20s. So
yeah, and now, check this out. Not only that, right? Today's black people don't even understand what that means. Go ahead, brother.
What? That what means?
They're just going to a place, not worrying about getting shot or just having a good time around your own people. You know. We don't.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't worry about that. The worst thing I remember having happen is like when you're moving around. You know, as a naval person, is that sometimes people want to try you. You know, make jokes with you and stuff like that, and then they turn around, and then next you know it's like 20 of us and 2 of them. And then next
things have changed from the times, because at first it would be a fair one. You know, you might say with your boys, and you got your boys, and they got their boys. Let's go. Yo, you want to do a fair? Come on out. Come outside, you know, and we do a fair with. Then it changed with guns and all that crazy stuff. But you know,
that's the whole This like,
and that wasn't just our phenomenon. It wasn't a phenomenon with us. This is just how the society changed. I mean, life and death is not a value anymore. You know what I mean? Situation. Overall for all human beings.
The 21st century family is a whole different era, and we're all trying to get adjusted to it. But it's like, you know, it's like anything. It's like the century of like anything goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we're bearing the brunt of this. Like I said, we have a harder job than Malcolm X. Malcolm X didn't have to deal with BET awards. Every time Phil Valentine comes out of retirement and be like, "Yo, what the hell?" When Phil Valentine, he said, "Man, I watch BET awards," and I'm like, "Hey, I've never seen so much gay and ratchetness and everything." Malcolm X and Martin Luther King didn't have to deal with all this back then, you know. I wish I had the black people from the 60s to build this. You know where we'd be right
Brother.
now? You know where we'd be right now? We had that.
Life would be great, brother. It'd be great, and also
We wouldn't be confused. We wouldn't be confused, brothers.
Yeah.
I mean,
we
it
wouldn't
was
know
who
we are, what we are, whether we're a man or a woman, or all kinds of stuff.
Like
whether
that.
we should, smoke our brains out or whatever.
You wouldn't have nobody question. Well, I don't believe in race and whatnot. You got so many people.
Right.
I'm a Native American and all this kind of stupid stuff. Whatnot. Dane Calloway, we wouldn't have no Dane Callaways and all this other nonsense and everything. Or
you talking about the
or the FBA ADOS.
That's just distractions. That's just distractions from returning back to the origin. You know what I mean?
So
and even
returning to Africa.
We're like with the point with our brother, may Allah, guide him. Kanye, he's just, I feel for him, man. I feel bad for him because like he's at a crossroads, you know what I mean? And someone needs to get by his side and try to give him guidance to what is the origin and say, listen, my peoples are there waiting for the likes of me. Dave Chappelle went there, but he came back, you know what I mean? And the likes of a lot of our brothers and sisters that are gone there, even Steve Harvey went there, cried over there in Ghana, But he's back. But you come back. You come back. Are you building a pipeline? Are you building something to get that connection back with us here? If we're going to be here, get that connection back there. Don't just go there and you just want to just be seen, you know what I mean? Or see something that you missed because you didn't know about that before. Now you do. So wake up, And he's at that crossroads. So, we just pray for him and hopefully he can get it and realize and say, I'm not going to depend on these people because they're going to cancel me out. Cancel because they already did it today. Already did it to, several others. I mean, what am I going to do? I got to keep moving forward. I am a billionaire and it's not because of them, because of me pushing forth. You know what I mean? And the excellence that I derived my DNA from. And that's where all that excellence and skills that we derive, it derives from there. We know this, but we forget, Yeah, man.
Yeah, I see it all the time. I said, look, people go up to the continent, but like I said, build over there and build connections back to here, But there's something missing in all this, right? Because I'm like this. You have Nigerians that put up the money to build Tanapa Studios, Nollywood, right? And you have Tyler Perry over here, You have black people trying to build filmmakers over there. Why is it the Asians could say, something? We have a whole region. When they built an Asian film industry, they have offices and operations all throughout Asia where they could do movies and whatever like that, change money and change stuff like that. But it seems that there's a disconnect between us in Africa to each other and also across the Atlantic. And this whole idea is that unlike other people where they have a language and culture to bond themselves by, we as black people, right? Asians basically will say, I'm Asian. No question about it, right? The black race have been beaten to the point where we're trying to convince the world to look past our color and stuff like this. And so they use that against us, right? When you start talking about black power, black economics, they say, isn't that being racist? What if I said white power like that? And that's a threat. That's a veiled threat. And what if white people start doing that? Yeah, you always doing this. I said like this, how's that? Okay, so black people spending all their money in Walmart. How often do white people go into black business to spend money? Almost never,
Exactly. It's just that simple.
Exactly.
And they'll say, Walmart's not a white business. What is it? It's a white business. That's the sort of thinking we start to have. MSNBC is a white-owned station. That's not a black-owned. I don't care how many black faces you put up there.
Modern
it's
day
white-owned.
Corporations are almost 90% plus, what it is. And that controls the way things move around. And you're telling people that, like, family, literally, let's try to build our own enterprises. That way we can have leverage. I mean, if and it's like, right. You're trying to continuously fight and challenge a system. It's what it is. It's like if I show up in whatever state I've lived in Georgia, Virginia, and New York, from 18 to 45. And no matter whatever goes on, whether it's a speeding ticket or whether you and your friends having a party, you have to, everything that go on from there is based on whatever laws in that country. I mean, city, state, district, county, and you're telling people, like, if you want things a certain way, you have to be willing to find somewhere in Africa where you can build your own nation. And that's why me and Kala always get back to the title we always have on the show, which is
Afrikstan.
the Afrikstan Analysis. So, brother Kala, break down the Afrikstan Analysis on this one.
It's simple.
Okay.
People try to put words in our mouth. You guys want to carve out a nation state? No, that could come, that could evolve. But how America didn't just become a nation state, right? It was 13 colonies for like 200 years, and then something they said. Something.
Also, Civil War it went through.
It went to a Revolutionary War, and then to keep it together, they had Civil War. It's all going through trials and tribulations. They say, something. We basically are tired of the British paying taxes and everything. They don't do nothing for us. We got to protect ourselves from pirates. We have lawlessness and everything, and all people have to do say, "I'm part of the British Crown," and we can't do nothing to them. So let's succeed from the British and form our own nation. That's how nations are formed, right? And say, so had those things not happened, the United States would be still part of the British, like Canada and Australia, But the United States say, something, we want to succeed because we believe in life, liberty, Black America the same way, So what I'm saying is this, though. When we talking about Afrikstan, we're talking about from the humble beginning. It starts with a man, woman, and child, a Black family. And then from the Black family, right, the social contract is to build a community. The community is mostly 80% Black families, man, woman, and child, right? And then you have some outliers, right? Single people, military peoples, or whatever like that, bachelors, whatever like that, single widows, whatever. But for the most part, the core of a nation is the Black family. That's what we strive for, to build a Black family. You pass on your genes or your inheritance, your will, down through the generations, and you build big Black families and everything. And so that's how you build a community. Your family is how a nation. Families of families of families, how you build communities, right? And then what to do those communities, you need what? You need infrastructure, you need laws, you need a social contract, you need police, you need fire, all this stuff like this. And so therefore, when you do those things, you are self-sufficient. You need your own warehousing, you need your own farms, you need your own factories and all stuff like this. And so when you start building those communities, right, and you have your own life, right, and you're going to pay the ultimate price through your sweat and tears and your blood and everything. But you know what makes you happy? When you turn on the television or when a festival comes to town, right? And just like the feeling I got when I went to the First Nation of Islam rally, that these are my people and they're speaking directly to me unapologetically. When you basically hold your flag up and you have a ceremony or something like that, and people are basically saying, "Oh, we're having Marcus Garvey Day and everything." Everybody's out there. You don't have to apologize for it, or the images you see on your television and everything, or when you walk down the town square and you see a statue of Malcolm X and stuff like this. That's what we're talking about, And so therefore, anybody strays for that as a traitor or you're insane, But and then then when you have several of those towns, you form a district, and you form a county, and you form a state, And then when you form a state, right, you have a bunch of states, right? You have a host country, and then you can either say, something, we're going to be semi-autonomous, something like Dubai, something like Hong Kong, or something like that. We'll be still part of your country, but we basically have our own laws. We have our own legislation. We have our own thing. We say, like, our laws got to reflect our value system. No group of people should be able to make laws unless they had your same exact experience. Shall I repeat that again, Bomani? Shall I repeat that again? Bomani,
Yes.
I'm going to repeat that again, right? No group of people should have the right to make laws over you unless they have your same exact lineage and background, Now, you may not be able to have complete sovereignty, but your immediate situation, right? Your town, your territory that we settle on, the laws and everything should be controlled by the people who have the same background and heritage as you. That's just natural, because even though we're all Africans, I agree with that and everything right here. Our problems, as you stated right now, no African is going to articulate the anger that you heard me speak tonight. It's not their experience. So therefore, when you listen to Kala, right, and you're at Black American or diasporan, Jamaican, whatever like that, you say, this guy speaks for me. Why? Because he has my experience. You know, I cannot speak for a Nigerian, right? I cannot speak for a South African. Their situation is different, even though we're all brothers and we're going to work together, but they need to take care of themselves. You know, we need to basically like this. We need to understand. See, I understand what our people are going through, the psychological drama. Now they're coming after us again with this affirmative action ban and stuff like this, you know? And Black people will say, and then you have a lot of even Black immigrants who say, yeah, you know, that's racist. They don't understand our heritage. So I can't surrender my people over to that. Black people feel like, wait a minute here. You deported Marcus Garvey. You just killed Nat Turner. You sent us off to your wars. You never gave us reparations. You never gave us all the stuff. You know, only a Black person that has the same experience can articulate that. I understand the anger of my people. You know, a foreigner or whatever cannot friggin' understand it unless they assimilate it with us completely. You know, and I understand the anger of Black America. I carry the rage of my people in me. You know, I carry the spirit of Nat Turner, Marcus Garvey, Sojourner Truth, and all these other people that came before me. I carry the spirit of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X and everybody else, Medgar Evers, you know? These were Black men. When it comes down to it, these were Black men. And I felt that same isolation from the world that they felt living in a white world. You know, unless you lived in a white world where you're condemned. I look at that stupid idiot Mike O the other night talking about, oh, well, I don't see race and everything. These people are dangerous because white people will take them and use these people, these Nigerians, everything, and say, oh, see, race though is this. I got a Nigerian. They always use foreigners to try to discredit our righteous anger and our righteous rage. So therefore, we have to build our own communities. That community in Ghana has to be manned and built by us and maintained by any community we build in Africa has to be made. And the decisions of that community, who can live there and what has to be done by us. That's not up for negotiations because we know what's best for ourselves. You know, that's what the Afrikstan is all about. It starts with a town and eventually grow into a republic. But it starts with building our own communities and towns, you know? And nobody can tell us if we go to Africa that we shouldn't do this because anybody who thinks they're going to go to Africa and succeed without building with their own people, you're wasting your time. We looked at every possible scenario in Africa and we say basically building, like we've talked about on the conference call, in the community one day or soon, we have people interested in building medical facilities and clinics in the community. That's a game changer. That's going to step up the type of people that want to go, oh, they're going to have medical center. Oh, wow. Oh, they're going to have a fire department with a fire marshal. Oh, wow. The brothers talk about security. You know, we're getting serious. Pretty soon, our own security and police force. Pretty soon, we're going to be completely self-sufficient on the African continent. We're going to achieve revolution. This is revolutionary. Us returning to Africa and building an Afrikstan and being self-sufficient on the African continent. While at the same time, we have support from our institutions in America, supporting these communities. We're not going to sever ourselves from our people in America. Our people is going to give us the strength to do what we got to do in Africa. And if you want to build in Africa, I support that too. You know? Did I break it down enough for Brother Bomani?
Yes, Brother Kala, you've been lighting it up on fire.
Yeah, so I'll say somebody, Richard Roundtree said, I'm with you. I like what I'm hearing, but why Roland? Why we say Roland? No. I'm saying like this. Roland is doing what he needs to do, right? He believes in the Democratic Party. He's doing the Democratic Party. We're past that. You know, and the bottom line is I really do believe Roland's not stupid because he's investing in Africa too. But Roland is still looking for that big payday, you know, and getting back with. He's in love with the mainstream media. He wants to be there when election night comes, and he's calling stuff. And it's like that. What, like it's just like a lot of black YouTubers, right? They really talk about stuff, but all they are is addicted to them listening to themselves on YouTube all day. And you can't pull them away from YouTube to build something. You know, if YouTube went away tomorrow, these dudes would be lost. You know, and so
I agree.
So if black men, right, they gave us a little thing like YouTube and internet and everything, and we get so that's what our end game is. I'm gonna be a content creator. I'm gonna be like that, and they're not gonna build anything. Now, if that's what you want to do, fine, but don't tell me, Roland Martin, that you're on there because this is called you are trying to rise up and be a big cheese and a go-to guy because it's your ego. I understand the black man's ego. When you don't have real power like the white man does, right? Let me tell you something how white people, right? When you look at Bill Gates, racist as he is, right? And these people, they talk real soft. They say very few words because the white people got power. You could see a room full of billionaires, right? You could pop off in the mouth and they'll sit there like, okay. But he knows either him or somebody in the white power structure is going to eventually deal with your ass. He's not even care. You walk out. I remember there was a story about Paul Castellano. Remember everybody saw Paul Castellano, where he had an incident where some young punks were cursed him out, whatever, right? And he took down their license plate, right?
Yeah, I heard it. On several different movies and documentaries.
He sent his guys there to bring him to his house, right? And these kids were scared. He said, "Look, he just gave him a scolding. You don't talk to an old man like that. You show respect, whatever, like that, you know." It's the same thing with people with power, you know, but he did it his way, you know. But people with power, real power, right? They don't get into arguments and beefs for 5 hours on YouTube. They got real power. They got better things to do. They know eventually, right? They're going to make more money. And then sooner or later, you're going to get what's coming to you, which is failure. And they got that satisfaction. Why do you think the rich people will never come to a poor person and say, you know something? I see you're poor. Here's $10 million. Oh, they might go and give $1,000 tip at a waitress, but that's not enough for them to say because they really believe that's your position, be a waitress. They're gonna say, you know something? I see you working hard. Come work for my corporation. It never happens. That's not the real world. So therefore, with YouTube, right? The white man said, okay, go ahead. We're making money off y'all talking on YouTube every day. Y'all making us millions of dollars, whatever, like that, talking, whatever. But the whole thing is this, though. You're never going to have any real power. You're going to have only power to go at it with each other. But the reality is when we speak, the world listens. With a click of a button, 1 billion people listen to us talk at one time. We can even take over your YouTube channels and say, we're interrupting. We got news of such and such. That's the power they have. And the black man in America, right? Instead of us having our own nation, with our own international broadcasts and stuff like that, our own programming and everything, we're satisfied with being content creators on YouTube. You know, he give us this little false sense of power. It's like what we're going to look at these rappers. All the truth is coming out. All these people are terrified that they might get canceled when and that Diddy in a week, since he threw Kanye under the bus, right? They put him up at a billionaire status. It's a status thing, you know. We don't know how much money he really has. But when they say Diddy, when he fall off, oh, Diddy just lost this. Chirac vodka canceled Diddy. Oh, Diddy's fortune just cut in half. They could pull the strings. That's not real black power. Real black power is land, infrastructure, nationhood, where we have our own industrialists, our own industrial base, our own markets, our own economies, and we have our own global supply chain, our own global stuff where we could build.
Yes, brother Kala, let me just chime in real quick. All right, I want to say one statement directly to this point. I've said things on both sides in with Kanye, just like me. I do my Afrikstan Analysis, but literally, family, love him or hate him, whatever you feel about the situation. Kanye West has proved this point, and he's put his money where his mouth is. So, I mean, whether you studied Dr. Clark or you see what's going on, it's it's all connected and it makes sense. So that's what we're telling you, family. That's why we're doing what we're doing. It's a Pan-Africanism towards nationhood, and we're looking to build what we need to build. That way, we can have, like Brother Kala said, real power. Now let me let in guests in, and then unless you want to talk before we let the guests in, Kala.
No, okay, go ahead. Let the guests in.
Greetings, brother. Greetings. Good day.
Greetings. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, yes, man. Welcome to Pan-Africanism towards nationhood, man. Hopefully you're at the right place and you're ready.
No, I'm in the right place. I really enjoyed. I just stumbled across the clickbait a little bit, and I saw what you guys are talking about, and I'm tuning in a little bit. I just think that at some point, I'm with you guys, and I think there was some of these people that we're talking about now. We got to let them go. Kanye is doing what Kanye is doing. We got to let him go until he's ready to start taking medication and talking to some real clinicians. Let him do what he does, and not pay any attention to him. Diddy, all these other people, they're an afterthought. They're not gonna. We should be, if we're on the airwaves and other young people happen to stumble across a platform like this, we have to start really getting into educating and talking about some of the things that you guys were talking about earlier in terms of what we can do with business, what we can do with education, people that are not in the limelight, people that aren't, if the people are real, like LeBron, that's fantastic, but we shouldn't be leading with that. Like me, for example, I don't want to make this about myself, but America, another thing is we have to also figure out, are we going to continue to lead with, saying that we are Black, or are we going to say that we are African? Because other communities don't do this. Asians don't say, oh, we're yellow or brown and on one side, and then we're Asian on the other side. Black is a social construct. Yes, I'm from America. I am Black, but that's also a divide too, because they're Africans saying that they're not Black, and they are darker than anyone else on this planet. But we have to continue. We have to think: are we going to move forward saying that, there's a Black agenda, or there's one agenda? It's an African agenda, and when we have to start thinking about coming back to Africa. Like me, I left everything behind. I don't know. Well, I left everything behind. I'm in Africa right now. I moved. I'm from Washington, D.C. area. I'll still go back and be with my family, visit, but this is it here. I'm in Uganda. I'm in East Africa right now. We have to start connecting back with Africa. We have to start connecting with the Caribbean. We have to start connecting with the Africans that are in Europe. We have to start connecting with the Africans that are here. And once we do that, once we truly do that, that's real power. Everything else, it's a distraction. We're truly really separated from ourselves. I've been coming here for 3 years now. I'm engaged to a Ugandan sister that's here. We're getting ready to build. I've actually started going back to school. I'm going to school here in Africa, where it's cost effective, and also where the things that I want to study, I'm studying from African experts here. And what I plan to do is start my career here, and then also try to bring it back to, food deserts and impoverished places of where I'm from. But we have to connect with the people that are here. We got to get up and we have to go around. We don't have to always agree on the same thing, but we have to move in a similar direction. And all these other people that's talking all this nonsense, the people who have the ability, who have the power to cancel, they love us talking about, the baby. They love us talking about Kanye. They love us talking about Diddy. They love that because it's a separation. It allows us to fall asleep or to lose control of the steering wheel. The steering wheel is when we all realize we all in the same club. We all in the same club. And what I'm saying to you guys is what I say to every single brother that gives me the time of day out here. and everyone listens. We all have the same conversation, and they ask me a lot of questions. Like what's going on in America, or why is it like this? Racism. What? I'm like, no, yeah, it's racist, man. It's racist. So until we really get together and break down this real social construct of what it means to be black, we didn't create black. Black is like having a nose. Black is like having a chin. Black is like having a finger. We're Africans first. So until we realize that and move in that direction, we're always good. Even saying that we're black is still a division. That's how strong the division is. Once we realize that we are Africans and we move in the same direction, that's power. What Martin Luther King did, what Martin Luther King did with Malcolm X and coming to West Africa with Kwame Nkrumah, that's power right there. Then white folks start saying, "Uh-oh, we didn't know that they were going to be coming here for a conference. What? We gotta destroy that." Malcolm was about to take his plan from the conference in West Africa to Egypt and throughout Africa, and then they got him. But we have to start mobilizing. We have to start finding real educators, real business people, real doctors, real scientists, real people that want to move together and do that and forget about all this other petty nonsense. Let Kanye do it. Until he takes his medication, we shouldn't even be talking about him. He's an afterthought. I don't want to take away from, I'm saying a lot here, but, we have to come back home. And everybody doesn't have to do this. And not every single black person has to do this, but the ones that are hungry, the ones that are mobile, the ones that are vocal, the ones that are serious about doing it, we gotta get back here. And we gotta get smarter talking about, once we're together, we have to start forming some friendships with people that don't necessarily look like us, but we have to start learning different languages, communicating with people, coming back home and leaving the English language behind, learning Swahili, learning our native language, because, and I say Swahili because here in East Africa, the business moving forward, the people that are moving things are the people that are speaking Swahili, the food, the agriculture industry, speaking Swahili. We have to be able to communicate with each other in a particular way and move in a particular way.
That was good. That's good. What do you do now? You say you're going to school. What do you do?
So currently right now I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher for just about 20 years. I left my job teaching in PG County, Maryland, and I moved out here. I've been coming here back and forth just to test out, this part of Africa. I've gone all over West Africa. This is the first country I've been into in East Africa, but I came over here with the intention to get married, go back to school, and start a business. I'm
Somebody
trying
call you a passport bro.
I said get married. I ain't say nothing about.
Yeah.
But that's cool too if you want to.
There's a lot of passport bros who are getting married.
Kala, you're hilarious. As a matter of fact, what I would recommend them to do is
they don't even like that. Going to Africa,
real sisters.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about none of that stuff, man. I'm about moving our people forward. Now, notice I said moving our people forward. I say nothing about leaving these unsatisfied sisters behind and having a good time, and I'm going to Colombia. I said Africa, and I'm here for business.
They don't even like that. They think
that's cool. I'm not even. I'll treat them the same way I treat Kanye. Some of them, you go have your fun. If you want to go have a good time, I'm about building, and maybe some of them are about building too. I'm not attacking anybody. They can go have their fun, passport bros, whatever. I'm enrolling into Makerere University.
Right.
That's in Kampala, Uganda. I'll be studying plant science, ethnobotany, and agriculture, and we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah, well, we wish you all the best luck, man. Hope you can keep in contact. If you want to, you could join our social network. We got a Uganda group. We got a lot of Ugandans. The BAIO Global Pipeline, the app. You download the app, or you can go to the social. I would just download the app, then you can sign up for the social network. It's right there on the screen. BAIO Global Pipeline app, on your Play Store, your App Store. And that's our social network, and we have a Uganda chapter maybe you could keep. We have all different groups, STEM groups, agriculture group. Maybe you could
Sure,
contribute to those groups, you know, and
sure, sure,
help incubate them. You know, it's like I said.
sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. Keep going.
No, so what I'm saying is, if we got all this energy, we need all this strong energy. I see you're a strong brother. You got strong energy. We need people like you just networking. You know, we're not gonna always agree, but if you're on the continent, you believe we should build in Africa. You're right there. You're 90% with us. You know, and so basically, you join the BAO Uganda chapter and meet with people and stuff like that. You know, our goal is to basically make
Can
this
you hear me?
into a global organization. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, brother, I mean, appreciate your energy, man, and congratulations, man. That's what I'm
Congratulations,
talking
man.
about, man. Positive
Can you
energy.
can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can definitely hear you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can hear
I'm
you.
listening.
But yeah, I was saying, congratulations, appreciate it, positive energy, because you know, when you look at the title and what we have as far as just the show topic and everything, you can kind of tell our energy is a little bit different. And I mean, and it's like we're telling people that more and more of us set things up in place, the more and more of us gonna, you know, be able to just live the true independent life, because that's why we're comparing and calling the different people names and things like that, and explaining situations. Because some people think that they're living in paradise, they're living in heaven, when they don't understand what's really going on behind the scenes of where they live at. At the end of the day, you know, we're being drained of our labor and resources to where by the time you wake up, you know, you own nothing.
Yeah.
And everybody else own everything, and you're literally just an economic slave, and you know, and another 700 years is continuing. So
Well, it's just, you know, it's almost like the food that we eat back home, you know, and we addicted to that sugar. We're addicted to the MSG that they sprinkle on the fries at McDonald's, you know. But once you get away from all of that and you're truly being nourished, you're truly being fed, or you're truly being given, as Dr. Carr would say on his show on Saturdays, a clean glass of water. Your taste buds, your desire for that other crap, you don't even want it anymore. You don't even think about it because you're properly fed. I'm talking about food, and I'm talking about the way that we live our lives, you know, back in the rat race, back in, you know, that kind of thing, you know. But once you're around the people, these people out here, you know, I heard one of you guys say, I wish we had our people from the 60s. That's what that's like over here. Every place that I've been in Africa is like it's like the good old days. It's like I mean, you're gonna find some rotten apples and some bad people everywhere, but there are people, genuine people, that are caring, loving, compassionate, love being African. Some of them listen to us when we say that we're Black, but you know, a friend of mine, my best friend, he's from Liberia, and he said to me a couple of years ago, he said, you know, I'm African first. I'm like, bro, we're Black, man. He said, nah, man, nah, I'm African first, because before that idea of identity came to us, we were Africans, we were Yoruba, we were Igbo, and we were other things before someone started telling us we Black. I haven't heard anything about being Black until I came here. People talking about being Black and then yellow, light skin, all this other stuff. No, and Africa has many shades, but we're Africans first. Until we can fully realize that, we're gonna be lost. We're not gonna be able to mobilize the way we want. That's all I said. But I see the information here at the bottom. I'm going to check that out. I also have a YouTube channel as well. I have a couple of YouTube channels that I'm a little behind on. I'm trying to get up. I talk about making the switch, you know, leaving America, leaving my job, and coming to Uganda to start my life over. It's called Going Home Again. And this channel here that I have is called Fitness for the Diaspora, where I actually talk about herbs and plants. I talk about things, natural medicine, things that we can find in our own back home. I'm talking about being in the US. I used to collect a lot of herbs and using things like corn silk and just corn, just the shuck of corn, It's roasted. You could put that in your tea. That helps with, indigestion and things like that. I talk a few things about that. I have 1 or 2 videos about that. It's not really developed as much because I've been busy the last year or so trying to get here. But hopefully I can come up, and I've made some friendships here. I have my own tailor over here. I don't want to call him my tailor because he's like a brother to me. But I have a barber over here, and I want to make videos about getting around Kampala and seeing how comfortable it is and things that you can find. It's not difficult at all here. Kampala, this is probably my favorite. Well, I'll say I don't want to say any country is my favorite in Africa, but I've been to Burkina Faso, I've been to Sierra Leone, Senegal, Morocco, and I've got stories about all those places. But coming here to Kampala, East Africa is very different from West Africa. But it's amazing being here. No place is perfect, but talking about in terms of getting around, communicating with people, the weather, women, and opportunities here. I mean, I've been here since July this time around, and I'll be going back for Thanksgiving to the U.S. to see my family and pick up a couple things. But it's great here. Everyone that looks like us should have the opportunity to come here if you want to. And if you're thinking about connecting back with the continent, people are waiting for us to come home too. I've been to places in West Africa when they said they wait, they know about us back over in the U.S. and they're waiting for us to come home. They ask questions like, do African Americans like us? I'm like, well, of course, sure they do. Just like brothers and sisters in America are wondering, do Africans like them? That's also a division too, because there's also a division in Africa too.
We have our social network. We have our social network. We got the BAO. We really have a conversation. We got chapters for each country, and we got Black people for years now been conversating, going to the continent, going back and forth and stuff like that, for years. And so, the people who talk like that, they haven't been in the BAO or Bomani and us. And so we building that Pan-African link, for years, for decades now, so it's like the new people come in, they like us. If you was in the BAO and you saw how people get down, you got people from different countries working on different science projects and stuff like that. It's like, as long as you're Black and everything, we understand that we're together. We're Black Africans. We say you African or African American, Black African American. We say Black African Americans. There's a lot of people now who are now trying to say, there's a video going out right now with this white guy from South Africa with his Kenyan girlfriend. She's a friggin' swirling Negro-pean. Yeah, she's running around talking about that they're African Americans now because, and then one Black girl, I love this one sister. She's on TikTok. She's a Black sister I think she's from Kenya. She is militant as hell. She said, no, you're not African American. Leave those people alone. Let them have that title. And white people like, I'm African. You a white man, you will never be an African, you're not Black. I believe in race, Africa means Black African, Black race, So I always put that qualifier when people say African. Yeah, Indians consider themselves African, and Chinese that live on the continent are African. White people consider them African. We're not in the same people as them. When I say Black African, I say Black African. That's why we call it the Black African Infrastructure Organization. We always put that Black in there because we can't get around that. We're in a global race war. Africans don't have that experience. That's why they can say that a lot of times. I don't see color.
Well, I wanted to speak to the brother too on that, and as well as what you're saying, Kala. I got you. I kind of, at first I was like, oh, okay, well, do we have to say Black? But then I got where you was coming from. But it depends on the content of what you're dealing with. Like if you're trying to distinguish ourselves from the Europeans who want to claim Africa, or even Asians as of today, but that we want to be more distinguished by saying Black. So I get you with that. Or you would say, they would say the Spanish way, negro, you know what I mean? So anyway, and in Arabic, they say aswad. So, I get what you're saying there. But for me, my position, as what the brother was saying, what's his name? Fitness from the diaspora. Yeah, my brother. And congratulations to you doing those maneuvers and everything, and keep on moving and keep up the good work, But I wanted to say, for me, I understood when we got that word African American, and it's important. so we can distinguish ourselves from the people and know who we exactly are. You know what I'm saying, and have a good understanding. But like Kala said, making a more better distinction and getting more specific to separate us from those who want to claim Africa, right? So I understand that too. But my position was definitely understanding being an African American, because why? And you know, what I learned when I was doing my DNA testing, as an example, is that we were mixed. You know, a lot of us will find in our DNA from America that I have European, you know, my father's side from Wales and Britain, and you know, Irish, but I have Asian, a small percentage of that. I have the Americas from my mother's side because she's from Honduras, Spanish, Central American speaking country. So I have, you know, Carib, and I have Mayan, and you know, the Spaniards that came here too. So, you know, it's a lot of mixtures. And then some people, they talk about, you know, like the ADOS talks a lot about, you know, their native background. So to avoid from getting yourself so like caught up into the stigmatization of, okay, I'm just this, but then, you know, you was born in America, but your descendancy and the majority of your DNA, especially if that's found, then you would say African American. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that term. But like Kala said, it's good to use, you know, to distinguish from, like, today, a lot of these people are trying to claim Africa more because they want to go there and reap from it like they've been doing again.
Right.
This is a new generation. You understand?
I seen a girl, a white girl, a bunch of white girls talk about how many they were born in Africa, right? And they said they have an African group. Yeah, and I'm like, white girls. And I'm saying to myself, and then you got black Africans from Africa saying, "Oh yeah, you know," and don't be fooled, man. A lot of these are Negropeans who say that, right? They want Africa. They think Africa is developed by becoming multiracial. You know, Africans
don't really. Some of them look at the idea of trying to hook up with a white woman, but them brothers don't want to marry white women. They're curious about white women, just like some of us are curious when we go to Puerto Rico, we go to Brazil and that kind of thing. They're not interesting, as we're talking about a collective. They're not interested in mixing unless we're talking about places like South Africa, maybe, where there's a huge European, British presence.
But the thing is, brother, I see in South Africa, they're very, like, you got Julius, they're very black conscious. You know, very conscious.
Yes.
You know, and they're very like Julius Lewema and one of the people. And there's a war going on. See, the white South, you gotta say something on the African continent. The whites in South Africa are a problem. You know, they're trying to undermine. They're the reason why we got sanctions on Zimbabwe. Why? Because they're sending a message that if that ever happens in South Africa, that's why the blacks in South Africa are terrified of taking that land back from white South Africa. They know they get it like Zimbabwe. Really. You know, they know that, you know. So, and then you got Indians, right? Indians dominate a lot of the trade in East Africa, Uganda.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Indians here.
Yeah,
a lot.
And now they're not just in Uganda; they have a global infrastructure, which they basically got. I have one of my guys in the BAIO that wants to go to Africa and bring his logistics, but he has 2 trucks, but he's building more of them. He wants to have a fleet of trucks. He wants to send put his trucks in Africa to do container delivery, you know, on the truck, the flatbed, you know. And so he asked me what country would be the best, and I said, you know, I thought about East Africa. I said, yeah, but I said, well, you should start with Southern and South Africa, you know, at least, and then work your way up to East Africa, you know, because the Indians and a lot of people got those logistics things locked up.
Yeah, the infrastructure down there, as I would imagine. I haven't been there, but I've seen videos. The infrastructure down there, in terms of logistics and moving things, it looks like it's more together.
Yeah, and also not only that, it's Indians and all these other people, and if we're gonna make a play for this stuff, right? Right now, according to the African Union, I call it the African Union, right? Anybody but the original OAU included Black American and diaspora as part of Africa. Okay, the African Union right now, which this is a subset of the European Union, right? And Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the least identified as African country in Africa. Even though I love Ethiopia, I think they should have built the African Union headquarters in Kampala. If you want to ask me, it should have been in Kampala or Rwanda, you know, a blacker country. There's according to the African Union, right? Africa is defined by geography. So that means the white Boers of South Africa are Africans. The Indians are Africans, right? The Lebanese born in Africa are Africans, right? But yet Haiti is not African enough. The country that gave us the white world, that first major ass whooping is not African enough. Haiti, right?
That's why.
Yeah, but what I'm
got
saying is,
their
why
ass
is it that the African Union, Africa is supposed to be for Africa, doesn't say, well, even though they're black, they're not African, you know? I'm like, that's what I'm saying.
Who says that?
The African Union. The African Union. Haiti was denied full membership, you know, in the African Union. Because we thought the African Union was about Pan-African. It's not. It's all about...
No, it's African. So there are qualifications that you have to meet to join the African Union. You have to, first of all, I don't know them all, but one of the ones I started paying attention to the most as I'm getting ready to start learning Luganda and learning Swahili is that you have to be fluent in a native African.
That's not
tongue.
true. That's not true because South Africa.
That's not true. That's all. It's on their website.
I don't know whose website it is, but the African Union doesn't recognize any particular language. That's the East African community, right? They're trying to make Swahili the official language of the East African the economic community of East African states. You know, Swahili the language, and they may have an East African Swahili block one day, right? But in what you call, you got French countries in Africa, right? Like, let me see, Ivory Coast is French.
Sure.
You know? And Nigeria's English is official language, right? None of these countries speak an indigenous language as their official language. The business language of these countries is English, Portuguese, and stuff like that. Angola.
Those are business languages. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but
what I'm saying, but the official documents, if you get something in that country, a legal document, everything, it's in those languages. You know, it's not in a local language. People use local language and everything, but the day-to-day operations of the country, the legal framework of the country, are in English, Portuguese, and stuff like that. Maybe Swahili too. You know,
I'll have to go back and look at it. I saw something. That's a little bit different, but I got to go back. I'm just telling you what I saw. I have to go back and look at that again. But even though those languages, those European languages are the business languages, in those businesses, they still speak their local language. I was in a law office a couple of days ago in Kampala, just moving around downtown, and you know, there are lawyers and all kinds of other workers in the law office, and they're speaking Luganda. Yeah. If a messenger or someone else is coming around and something's being delivered, some of them are speaking English with people that are not Buganda people, but in the law offices they're speaking Luganda. So in professional settings, yeah, they are speaking their local languages. And again, I'm in one place. One place might do something from another, but you know,
right?
Business.
I agree with that.
Business internationally, yes, English, French, whatever, Spanish, whatever, you know. But you know, in those businesses, they speak in their local languages.
And let me get
it depends on the country.
The African Union wants Morocco. Morocco wants nothing to do with the African Union, but they want Morocco to become a member. And also, Israel got observer status in the African Union. You know, Israel, state of Israel.
Israel, say that again, Kala.
Israel got observer status in the African Union.
What?
Yeah,
wow, that's crazy, man. Wow.
Now, like I said, if you
how did that happen? Is it because of the African Hebrew Israelites there or something?
Well,
they got a community.
Well, that's a small. That's a neighborhood community, and those brothers and sisters are you know, I commend them, but I think they're finding some troubles here and there.
Yeah, they've been having troubles.
Yeah, they've been having some troubles.
If you go into a white country telling them that this is your country, this is my country.
Right.
Like, you didn't build this shit. How you gonna go? You got the whole entire African continent, and you in the dry ass Israel talking about this is your holy land, Negro. Come on, you know.
Well, you can learn. You could take a chapter out of their book when someone else from the outside comes in. They're really quick to band together and say, no, you can't do that here. Those are lessons those are lessons that we have to take about our communities back home,
It's
and as we start to build here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate and hard for Hebrew Israelite brethren that they hold on to their heritage, their religious heritage in that manner, and it's unfortunate because I understand. It's just like us with certain areas of where we were in America that we built on and built up, and it was just snatched, taken. And Israel did it to the Arabs too. The Arabs, they took, but they also they own that, and the Hebrew Israelites know about it in the times when the Hebrew Israelites, the true ones, were there, and Israel, the Israel nation was established in those areas, and it was people of color, it was black people. It wasn't these guys who came across from Russia and all this stuff. But it's done now. So now you gotta go back home for where you really originated from, and besides you going into the land of Israel or Palestine, put it best to say Palestine from the history.
Oh,
Yeah,
do
sure.
you think these Hebrew Israelites will be over there if Israel didn't have basic health care, welfare payments, and stuff like that? You think they'll be over there?
Well,
I
you know
don't
what?
think
I
so.
don't know, because they started that. They've been there for quite some time.
Yeah,
I'm
And
talking
this is
about
even
more
if
based on a
the
religious
new
thing, I
people,
think, from
the new
position.
people, the new people. I know back Ben Israel back in 1967. I know about that. I'm talking about in the 70s. I'm talking about these new Israelites, these guys that Hebrew Israelite on the street. I'm a Jew, whatever like that. They don't work. They don't do nothing, and they just around Israel and whatnot. Talking about just spouting off a bunch of nonsense about how this is their land and everything like that. Same thing we got on the street corner. While they sit on the street corner berating black women and whatnot, calling them hoes and
I
everything
don't
like that.
think that those are I know what you're talking about. Those brothers they in a lot of cities in America, and I think that those brothers, they their hearts are in the right place, but they don't have a syllabus.
Right.
They don't have a game plan, and that's
Mm-hmm.
very different from the brothers and sisters that are actually in Israel today, the ones that came in 1960, in the late 1960s. Those are two
Right.
completely different groups of people. And I also
Yeah.
think that with the advancements that Israel has gotten over the years from the U.S. government, that's another thing that speaks to the assurance and the strength that the people of Israel, like the people that the American government gave that land to, has said, hey, because if you look at their military, they don't play, man. They don't F around, man. So when they say something is theirs, they know how to band together and do that, because they also have support and backing from what they've been given, what, 35, 45 years ago. And that
Yeah.
technology continues, or those
To
advancements
advance.
continue to
To
today.
advance.
I just don't, me personally, I just don't understand. Something you got a country of Israel that's whiter than the United States, a white country, and you're going over there talking about this is my land, I'm Israel. You might as well stay in the United States, a white country, but to each its own, right? And also, let
Right.
me ask you a question, right? There's a lot of black people who are Catholic. How come they don't go to the Vatican and be like, yo, look, yeah, I'm a Catholic? Because black people try to claim the Catholicism revolved from Africa and stuff like that, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well,
But they're
it was like
Uh,
because I grew up Roman Catholic from my family, from my father's side and my mother's side, and what I noticed through the years, a lot of black Roman Catholics were leaving the church because of the corruption and the racism. So at times, and the next thing you know, we're in the '80s. Some of them are Baptists, some of them are now Methodists was pushing up their population, and then AME, the churches all over the place. So they were going into these congregations and assimilating in there, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, going to more black churches and stuff.
I don't
yeah.
think that
So it's
that we need
changed over
that.
the years.
We need that in terms of in terms of building, in terms of moving together as a unified front. We need that. However, if we're talking about religion, we're talking about the origins of religion. Again, there's got to be a syllabus here. There's got to be some education there, because there's
Yeah.
something to be said about
Mhm.
the origins of Christ. I'm not going to sit here and say I have that syllabus, but it's a
Right.
journey that needs to be explored through education. We need to know the
Yep.
people who we can talk about. Sheikh Anta Diop, All right. We need to start studying. We need to start getting more grounded in that kind of education. This brother's got a lot of things that'll make you question modern day Christianity. All right. And it starts with our education. We have to go around. We've got to find mentorship. We've got to find the people who know these things, and we have to start reading. We have to start educating ourselves with mentorship. This information is heavy. You can't, that's just like getting a physics book and going through, different kinds or different aspects of the field. You can't digest that alone. Need mentorship.
I agree. You got to do your own due diligence to build a foundation for yourself, and then your family, and then go into the community, and whatever you can bring to the forefront, to the table, to let it be known about those differences, or what, if you're on the same page as far as religious is concerned, then come and bring what is correct from what we've been pushed and fed and forced upon. Look at what they did when they would take the slaves, our slaves, and we know this history. Plenty of YouTubers spoke about it, but just to quickly say, they didn't want to even give us the all truth but nothing but. You know what I mean? They only wanted you to learn enough to be a slave. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, you got to do your own diligence on that end when it comes to that. Besides, the building of a nation and so forth, nation building, because that plays a role in that, like you said, that syllabus or that organization, like you're saying.
Yeah.
People they're gonna, like I said, with the Hebrew Israelites, they're gonna be seriously strong on what their faith is based on. So, that's why a good portion of them stay there and don't remain in Africa, because they may be a minority in Africa. You got a lot of different groups in Africa, different religions. And so they see themselves going back to the promised land. And, I don't blame them, but at the same time, I hear what you're saying, Kala. It's still like the brain drain, what it's called, brain drain, when they go there and they get all the energy.
Ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, right? And I gotta get ready. I gotta get off, right?
Yeah, me too.
Same here. Yeah, I was gonna say I gotta roll myself.
Check this out. Black Islam, right? The holy city is Mecca, right?
Yes.
Black people go to Mecca, right? Not Africa, right? Africa. I'm an Africanist. I'm a black Africanist. I believe African soil is where we come from. That's what we build. I don't believe in Europe, Israel, the Middle East, America, none of that, right? Okay, the black people who are Catholics, the Vatican, right? Okay, you don't really see a lot of black people going to the Vatican, right? But you do see black people adopting Islam, Judaism, and going to the state of Israel. When there was a history of black Jews in Nigeria, Igbo land, they don't make that the head. Or black people don't make Timbuktu their Islamic place to go to. It's always something outside of Africa, And one thing I do give the black church, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, they were always Afrocentric. They said we're the African Methodist Episcopal Church, or the Abyssinian Baptist Church, which was Ethiopia, And so that's Afrocentric. So black Christianity don't give enough credit for that, Islam, you say, okay, how Afrocentric, African-centered ratio, right? The black church is probably more African-centered than any other religion. Why? Because the African Methodist Episcopal Church was like Africa was the promised land, whatever. The Islam, they go to Mecca, the holy city is Mecca. The Catholics, it's the Vatican. The Jews, you got black Jews, right? Grew up in the hood and everything, right? But they have no affinity for Africa. They're going to the state of Israel, Jerusalem.
Right.
Well,
I'm sorry, I can only speak for Islam because I'm to be Muslim, but from my position being African American, being an African descendant, I've learned about what is the symbol, what is the significance of Mecca and Medina is only the origin of where the prophet came with the teachings of the faith. And so that's where the people want to go back to with the orange. Like you want to go back to Timbuktu to learn from some of the chieftains and the people who established libraries first in universities, right, and knowledge. And then
Timbuktu Timbuktu had libraries, the sky, big books of learning. It was highly wise. I'm saying, okay, I get that, right?
No, I'm talking about different reasons. So the African Muslim doesn't just go to Mecca and Medina for just because it's all of the part of their faith. They also have remembrance of the establishment when Islam came into Africa, of the teaching from there in Saudi Arabia, or Arabian Peninsula, and that these teachings they go back and trace back even beyond that, like even with the Hebrew Israelites, there's connection and all that. So we just established the origin. We want to go back to the origin. So the same thing with Timbuktu, the same thing with teachings in the other areas of Africa where you learn
I've never seen anybody
certain aspects of the origin. So we it depends on your faith.
I mean, we could go by origins, right? But then look at the United States, right? The United States was something different than what they call England, the mother country, right?
Right.
But America has risen to the point, like Timbuktu was at one time richer than Cairo and Mecca put together, you know?
Yeah,
so
yeah. You have Musa,
origin, right? The origin, right? Why is it that Black people just say, okay, I understand that's the origin, but this is our zenith. This is our pinnacle. You know, it's a Black area where Islam became our reality, such as when you had the Protestant Reformation, right? You know, and if you really look at it, right, Islam in West Africa was way more advanced and more tolerant and more civilized than it was practiced in the Middle East. You know, and that's just a point of fact. They were much more tolerant and much more civilized than what they were practicing in the Middle East. The Arabs were savages. You know,
but what we understand with Islam, and that's even with Africans, you can ask even a native African brother you might come upon, and they're going to tell you that, you know, basically Islam is not bounded by race or color.
I was just getting ready to.
By spiritual understanding and connecting with the Creator. So that's why it doesn't get too much into whether it's Black, whether it's white, whether
that's
it's
right. That's right. And even that translates.
But does that account for the white Arabs, because they're really racist? Black
no,
people
but
right now are getting brutalized in Saudi Arabia while they're playing for Mecca. You know,
that's more of a modern construct. I mean, it's when we're talking about those religions, the people get together and they do. This is for more of an educational understanding of how to follow God. But in terms of how people live their lives, these people, they realize whether they are Jews, whether they are Muslims, they follow their African culture, the one, because those are things that have been standing. Those are things that have been standing for thousands of years, and they're able to trace those things back. You have Christians and Jews in different parts of Africa. They celebrate each other's religions. Religion is just a way to follow God. You can have a masjid, and you can have a Christian church in places in West Africa, throughout Africa, and the Jews will go to Christmas service at the church, and the Christians will go to the masjid.
That's the way it should be, until you have a country like Iran with these clerics who came in there. Christians and Jews lived in Iran for centuries. Same thing in Libya and everything.
Sure, absolutely. But now we're talking about that modern construct of now. I'm sorry, my brother. We're talking about that modern construct of infiltration. We got other people from we got the West coming in, infiltrating. I mean, brothers and sisters in West Africa, man, they revered Muammar Gaddafi. They loved him. And then as the West did what they did, and they took it down, all the craziness started happening. And now we have all these, these terrorist factions and that kind of thing going down, because the people that kept those terrorist factions in line, those people, they're gone now. But they revered the Lebanese leader. Those things weren't even an issue. And in terms of these white Muslims and that kind of thing, that's anyone could follow Islam from the beginning of time. That's your commitment to God.
I follow Islam too, man. I'm Christian, but I'm also Muslim. I'm also Buddhist. And I'm a Taoist,
and you know what? The masses would accept that. That. Now, if we're talking about rulers of civilization, we're talking about a culture. You couldn't come in. I'll give a really quick example. I was previously engaged years ago to another sister in West Africa, and her father was a big time priest in the Muslim community. Because he passed, the family accepted me in, but they all told me, and they told me this with love. They said, if our father was here, doesn't matter how nice you are, doesn't matter where you come from or how much money you are, you would never be able to marry our daughter. He would never give you his good graces. You can practice the religion if you want, but you could never come into their community, their customs, and be someone who is a community leader. Couldn't do it. So that tells you the difference between culture and this religion.
Right. I agree with that. That's what I was saying. Yeah. But brothers, I appreciate.
I have to jump off. It's
Yeah,
getting late.
Same
good
here.
Talk. It was definitely good talking to you, brothers. I'm definitely brother Kala. Thank you for the information. I'm going to follow you guys and follow this information.
Please join the social network site and join the Uganda chapter. We'd like to hear more from you. Give us some videos.
Sure.
Oh, you got
No
YouTube
doubt.
channel. Upload your video. Upload all your videos. You know.
Yeah, I'm trying to become more savvy in that as well. So I got to get off my behind and get going.
And brother, fitness from the diaspora, could you like maybe post it in before you go into the comment space?